of Medicine and Law to the second convention on medicine and law. Basically, what we aim here is to find out what problems the doctors are facing, where are the lacunas, and how can, as a medico-legal expert, or how can there be a substituted law, or what all things which are required to be taken care by the MCI, which are, or by the government, which are not seen into properly. So we'll get through a discussion. Basically, it's broadly on two lines. Basically, if we see, there is no standard SOP which is existing in the market today, especially for the dermatologist and cosmetology and laser and whatever, all the branches of dermatology. And basically, the second is how to prevent the quacks. Basically, even today, even a beautician claims herself or himself to be a laser therapist, who have no qualification, or they have some degree or some from an unrecognized institution. So these are the two basic aspects which we will cover, and apart from this, whatever through the discussion, if something else emerges, we will be discussing over that. And especially I want every one of us to contribute, because that is how we know, because the live experiences are experienced by you. We can only help you with law and how we can supplement, and where there can be preventive or protective laws, for especially in the field of dermatology. So I would like to start with the first topic of SOPs. Any suggestions on SOPs, like what all do you think there should be a standard SOP for all dermatologists, or should it depend on basically all the hospitals should be having some separate SOP? Or do you feel that the MCI or the government should come up with a standard SOP with having some variation regarding a patient, or giving some leeway to the doctor to have his own judgment? Because doctors have the judgment which is best in the interest of the patient. So any thoughts on this process? Do you feel anything?
My first, one more thing I want to add here is, as far as the SOPs go, we see rampant use of steroids in dermatology. Today we have most of the skin infections which are resistant to all known antifungals. So if we don't develop a certain standard SOP, we are going to have a big, terrible, in fact it has already started. None of the regular antifungals, superdermal, nothing works. So is there something which we should formulate which will prevent the rampant use of steroids? Because even the chemist sells ointments which are steroid, most of it are simple steroid, they don't even have antifungals many a time. So does the government have to formulate some strategy which will prevent this resistance which is coming into the market? In fact, so rampant, none of the superdermal, I think dermatosis works, I mean this regular antifungals work on the usual tinnias which we used to cure easily. Either the protocols are wrong, or the time of how much of time of antifungals we have to continue to use, the steroid combinations, the erratic and irrational steroid combinations which are there in the market. Somebody has to formulate something, because every third company comes with the irrational saying this is the best or that is the best. This is a stronger steroid, not that this is a stronger antifungal. So those are the issues we should be addressing. So should the government formulate something which we would like to tell the government that these are the standards we should maintain? Like we have standards for, let's say, sedatives. If they put it in the third schedule, or we have standards for combination medicines, cough syrup. Does Derma does not have any such SOPs in the market today?
I want to say one more thing is that a lot of people, the general consensus of dermatologists is that it is these steroid combinations which are responsible for antifungal resistance as we see today. I think it is going beyond that. It is the antifungal powders which are being rampantly used. See, at least a cream is used by somebody who has an infection. Powder is being used by families and extension people. It's about when you put a molecule into the environment, the organism starts developing resistance to it. And the powders have been responsible for far more impregnation into the environment than the creams have been, including the steroid combination. So I think even what formulations, today one company just 2 weeks ago came and they're telling me they've come out with itraconazole powder also. first thing I told them, I will never write you hydrocortisone since you have done the stupidest thing of coming out with a powder. So this is the thing, that regulation, you can't come out with products of molecules which can be used by the population at large. That's a very important thing, especially when it's anti-infective.
Over-the-counter products.
No, but in India there is nothing like over-the-counter. Everything is over-the-counter, except now the psychiatric drugs are being very closely regulated and people are really afraid to,
Basically, it is lack of enforcement of regulation. The government does not ask us when they come out with, when they give permission to any product. That is how these triple combinations.
No, there is a little improvement. Earlier the local body permissions were adequate to come out with a product. Now the DCGI strongly put in that now only DCGI will be the regulatory authority to come out with any new product. So things are getting better.
Okay, so what I can conclude from your suggestions is basically there should be a regulation on this rampant sale of basically the powders which lead
No,
to
no,
They are not saying.
the pharmaceutical industry, they should not come out with these
Production.
products.
products.
Yeah.
Basically.
But is suboptimal doses of this antifungal powder responsible, or they give doses which are?
No sir, it is
They
the
use it
antifungal
routine.
powder actually has no therapeutic value. If you really ask me, it has no therapeutic value. But if you put it into the environment, now my contention is that the creams are only used by people, antibiotic combination creams are used by people who have the rash. When you put it in a powder form, everybody, instead of using any talcum powder, they are using these antifungal powders.
This suggestion must be given one of your friend only.
Yes, sir.
What intravenous powder? Sorry, this isotonic powder.
No, but what can I do if you, I mean, you're saying my friend, I would not consider such people
Another
my
thing is
friends.
that
I
So
know.
basically, ma'am, what I can conclude from your suggestion is there should be a regulation on production, basically.
correct. That's
Exactly.
right. That's right.
Exactly.
And how to
Scientifically
regulate that
documented.
is what we
Sell also, sell also.
No,
Production and
we'll
sale.
take one by one. Production, what she
Okay,
said.
one is
One
the
thing is production by the pharmaceuticals, so the permissions should not be given to irrational combinations on which IDVN is already working on through the IDATSA drive. The second is over-the-counter prescriptions by the chemists themselves. I mean, there is no prescription.
Yeah.
And the patient goes and tells the chemist that I have got ringworm, what do I take? Even educated patients do this.
Yeah.
So sale by chemists without a valid prescription should not be allowed.
Okay.
Nowhere in the world this is allowed.
Yeah.
I think India is the only country where chemists can prescribe anything they want, except like Madam said, psychiatric medication.
Okay.
Antibiotics,
So
everything is.
basically, we are crystallizing production and over-the-counter sale by the chemists. And this should be regulated, and there should be a law to say what all chemists can sell off the counter. Number two, what all combinations can the production take place for the medicines.
I think there are regulations, but it's not being implemented.
So basically, we have the problem with implementation of those regulations.
And each and every patient of Dina that comes to us for me has applied or is being used using the triple combination or 5 drugs combination to contain, as I said rightly, steroids. So topical steroids or misuse of topical steroids, and most of the time they do it themselves. So again that comes to the thing. And
Government should take up a awareness program. That is
See,
very
one
important.
advancement they have made, that Schedule H, that that footnote they have removed.
Yeah.
Which actually legally allowed them to prescribe without any, without any legal enforcement. So that footnote was removed thanks to that IDATSA drive for file.
It's being removed, it's not removed.
Today,
Should have
clobetasol,
Not
clobetasol can be prescribed by an MD as well as by a quack. So whether there could be a regulation that beyond beclomethasone, nothing can be prescribed by
Actually, a quack is not allowed
only
to
a,
prescribe.
no,
Quack is not a doctor,
No, no,
so
no.
he is not allowed to
no,
prescribe.
no, so I'm just
All are
saying,
already
so whether
in place,
beyond
but not being
beclomethasone,
implemented.
only the specialist can prescribe.
You get this combination of itch guards which don't sell OTC product.
There's a product called Dermify. Every patient, if you ask, they have used it.
Dermify is used.
Everybody, Tandem Plus,
Tandem
Dermify,
Plus,
Fordum,
yeah.
Fordum,
Quadridom.
Cordiderm, you name it,
Yeah.
everything containing steroid. And
Okay,
that
so
too
you
without
want
prescription.
to
Basically,
evaluate the
it's
use of
like-
steroids,
Yeah,
there should be
combinations.
combination.
Irrational combination.
Irrational combination, 3 or 4 or 5 drug combination.
That was
Banned.
already
It will
banned.
come into the first point which you made,
Yeah.
that same, that combination that on
Yes.
the pharmaceutical companies regulate.
Yeah,
You want to
basically
doctors.
the regulation should hit at the time of production. That is
Correct,
what
that's right.
As
Permission to
they,
only-
those
as
that
are
is
not selling psychiatric medications
Yeah.
without a valid prescription of a doctor. Same way, you should have
Steroids.
certain groups of steroids will not be sold without the valid prescription of a dermatologist.
Topical as well as system.
Beyond
The same
biclometazone,
prescription is used over and again,
Mhm.
especially for steroids. Now in psychiatric drugs,
Avoid repeat use.
you know, the date and the quantity is mentioned in the prescription and you have to honor it that way. But
Like psychiatric
steroids
medication,
and other creams are honored forever, so that is why.
basically a stricter
not
implementation.
refill it
of
without a
the-
fresh
So
prescription.
basically it's stricter implementation of the laws.
Sir, can I add
Yes,
one point,
yes.
sir? Recently I met the drug controller at Hyderabad in regard to that fairness cream what they are selling.
Yes.
So that has steroid and we proved it, we took it to the lab and we proved it and then taken it to his notice. That young gentleman was very enthusiastic, in taking action. After a month or so, he says all these dermatological drugs are along with cosmetics. They are not scheduled drugs. Anybody can sell it, anybody can give it. So basically, we have to hit at that.
Definition.
See that, put these drugs into the drugs like any other drug, not with the cosmetics and other things.
So basically, any drug or any cosmetic which has a
active
steroid or which has any
active molecule.
active molecule.
No, even our skin preparations are all under that group only.
Okay, but they
We
are
don't
not.
require any specified dermatologist only to write that. Anybody can write it, I believe.
Okay, so you're saying
That is
there
what
should
is there
be
in
a
the
review,
drugs.
sir? Are you coming to the point that there should be a review of all these combinations and see whether-
Combination of course are irrational, we have to discourage that.
Discourage.
Even the simple medicines, they say if anybody goes even without a prescription they can sell it. So that is along with the cosmetics in the drug formula. So that has to be taken care and see that it is not along with cosmetics.
Okay, so the categorization should be properly enforced.
Yes.
Basically.
So this
Scheduled
combination,
drug,
why
HR
I am
something.
asking this is the combination of 4 drugs, antibacterial, antifungal, a steroid, and I think there are other combinations.
Tinidazole.
Tinidazole they are putting and then ofloxacin also.
Yes,
ofloxacin.
4 drug combination which does not make sense.
Yes,
Right.
yes, yes, yes.
Five pentaderm is there. penta.
Basically,
Even multinationals are having this.
So that is what, so basically there are no rules and regulation, and even if it is there, if there is a rationale behind it, it should be to a certain level of degree which should be looked at.
so can
Let's
I-
say-
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So one thing is that these combinations are made targeting non-dermatologists, knowing that if you cannot diagnose, one of the 5 drugs will use Delpuri approach, and it's unscientific. Number 2, and why should, I think, nobody does any quackery for ophthalmology whether they are worried the patient may lose vision, but for dermatology, no skin condition don't kill. So everybody wants to post, even other specialists, there should be some restriction on that. They also rate such combinations, not just quacks. No. Number 2, chemists.
So you're saying there should be a restriction on prescription by the doctor.
For a lot of drugs, neurologists only can write. So likewise, there should be some restriction on some things only dermatologists can write.
For Sildenafil there was a restriction and
Yes.
only few were allowed.
Exactly. So
So DVD and MD.
because these are serious matters and chemists at chemist level, and like they said, they become doctors. More importantly, any other country in the world, once you prescribe a medicine, they will put a stamp dispensed, and after that, that prescription not valid till the doctor writes again. But here in India, they have an open display, free home delivery. People pick up a phone, they dial, and the drug reaches their house without knowing who's written what. So I think that's very, very wrong.
So what you're saying is basically
Chemist should be regulated.
online sale and the home delivery sale should be stopped because unless the prescription is given or
No, they should be regulated. See,
Regulated.
online, if the date of the prescription and the number of days it is honored, once it is honored, it should not be honored again.
There should not be a refill without a fresh prescription.
And lastly, like she said, powder, I'd like to add one more thing. There are soaps, antifungal soaps, which after they dilute with water, the concentration that the patient receives is a subtherapeutic concentration, and the people use it every day. which is absolutely wrong.
At US FDA have stopped this thing. Yesterday there was a.
Even antifungal soaps are available.
Antifungal soaps should not be.
I think US antifungal
Okay, so
powders are
basically
allowed.
what from
Yeah,
soap,
that is one of
powder
the
and
matters.
cream.
Antifungals are allowed in the US, if I'm not wrong.
Powders are allowed, but then it causes a problem now. We have realized lately that it causes more problem now.
And there's one related thing. There are many shampoos, antifungal shampoos, which we use for conditions like pityriasis, etc., which are sold as lotion. So we have to specify that the patient applies and leaves it overnight and gets irritant dermatitis. So apparently the FDA knows that it's a shampoo, but it is to be sold as a lotion because if you write the word shampoo, excise duty is more, it becomes a cosmetic. So I think these are stupid ambiguities. People sell a shampoo as a lotion so that they can pay less excise and sell as a drug. And same thing if they label it shampoo, the price goes up.
So basically,
Which is actually
you are
drug.
saying that
Shampoos are
the
less than that.
off-label indications should be there basically.
No.
Yeah.
It should not be labeled as a lotion, it should be labeled as a shampoo because it's a shampoo.
So
No,
but the
they
flip
said it's
side
lotion.
is, if you write a shampoo, anyone else will prescribe it and again it will be misused by
No,
anyone.
but a shampoo
They
should
can
not be
write
sold as a
medical
lotion.
shampoo.
It's absolutely wrong because a lot of patients they apply it
Yeah,
and
and leave it on.
and you get irritant dermatitis.
Maybe one company has come with a word, not shampoo or lotion,
Stay on.
scalp wash. Scalp
Yeah,
wash.
but it should not be sold as a lotion.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Lotion
you
is
are
some
agree.
people are applying overnight like Selsun and all, they are getting almost
Reaction.
severe reactions.
But generally, don't you think that this should be there on the product itself?
It should be on the product, that's what I'm trying to say.
So basically, you are saying that the
Labeling is
So
wrong.
how many
Labeling.
people read those, inserts? Hardly any.
No, but if it is sold as a lotion, people don't know it's supposed to be used as a shampoo and should be washed off. So the shampoo should not be on the skin for a longer time, it will irritate and burn the skin.
basically, so directions to use the medicine should also be there apart from whatever doctor
Actually, the
suggests.
labeling should be right. It should not be-
Terminology. Terminology of the,
So the terminology of the product, which is
Should be
the problem phase, because sometimes the doctors are prescribing shampoos, but which are in effect a lotion, or vice versa. Basically.
no, they are
More than
shampoos.
that, I think first is the production, second is the sale, and third is what you
Terminology.
call is the terminology or the, anything contains,
Prescriber.
anything contains related to dermatology, any content. I think that should be under dermatology regulation. Whether lotion, sample, wash, anything, it contains anything which is in the domain of the dermatologist, they should be regulated.
Now strictly apply the definition as per law.
Yes, correct.
And don't give a lot of discretion from shampoo to lotion. So you want to give a definition to
No,
be strictly
even in a
limited.
lotion, whether it's a shampoo, but it contains steroids, contains antifungal,
Okay, so you are
contains
saying
antibacterial.
the
It
use
should be,
of, basically, to summarize it, use of cosmetics which have all these
dermatological product
dermatological products.
should be prescribed only by the dermatologist. Correct, no?
So there should be a regulation even to regulate these cosmetics which have this.
Correct.
That's not
What they
possible
do
at
is
all.
that in cosmetic preparations, they put lesser percentage, so 1% say. So, and in the active with medical products, they put it the actual.
No,
but 2% even the or 1%, then it
required.
may not be effective.
It
Should
should
not
not
be
be
acceptable.
acceptable.
Should not be acceptable, no?
But no,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, but what is-
because we are in town and city. What will happen when it goes to a village level where there is no dermatology? So this thing would probably not take place. The best thing would be to ask, write, do insert, put visible letters on the product itself, boxes, that it cannot be used.
So visible directions to use should be there. So some law regarding that should be.
Visible, absolutely visible.
One of the multinational companies I had seen, in an antifungal, as an OTC, they were selling a 1% product, and in a
Miserable.
medicated prescription, it was a 2% product.
But that's what, they do it in USA also, it's allowed there. 1% ketoconazole is OTC,
Yes.
even in USA, and
Nizarali
2% prescription.
has done it
They
here.
have tried here to be a
And
monocyte.
even in USA, the antifungals like caniston are advertised.
Yeah.
They're OTC, they're advertised also.
Now Candid is being asked.
Scalp is being.
No, but even Caniston in US is being advertised since a long time.
No, but they have strict implementation of who writes
Who writes?
and what is dispensed.
No, you can buy notice.
No,
Even
Withdrawal 1% is OTC.
One second,
1%.
Rashmi. If it is 1% or 2%, the 1% is not effective, the dermatologist opinion should be taken, it should not be allowed. If the 2% is effective, it should be written by the dermatologist. So these are the things should be.
Some of them are also leads to
It is
resistance.
not also rational, but
Pardon?
again, it is not a rational product.
the 1%.
These are the loopholes which they
Anything
United
that is such a
States,
suboptimal
1%
should not be
is
allowed.
available as
Yes.
OTC.
Why we should use?
I don't know.
1% is allowed in OTC.
OTC.
No, but it is not effective, then why it is
But
allowed?
that's the point, it should be banned.
Ah, so
No, it causes a resistance.
Yes.
The moment
Ah,
you write 1%.
So make it overall.
One point.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
then the-
These combinations actually are association IDVL is fighting, they have represented the government of India and it was banned 2 months ago, but one of the products called
Yeah,
Random
banned.
Plus, the owners are my patients, their sale is jumping by 100% every year. Last year's turnover, one product was 375 crores, so all these companies got together and hired good lawyers and they got a stay order, they're still manufacturing, they're still selling. So government has banned it already, but it's still being manufactured and sold.
But that's just because there's a stay order. It's
No,
not-
but
it's-
That is for UV
because
therapy they got them.
so it's
This
this
is
Not for
again,
pandemic.
I am not sorry, but
For
this is the
pandemic,
state
they got
of.
us.
Yeah.
For
Yes.
pandemic also.
It's actually money, money we are marginalized.
So basically, the proper implementation of guidelines should be there.
So there is a ban, but still that ban is being flouted.
Yeah,
No, everybody knows
but
that that should be
doing it under the
implemented.
order of
That
court.
will be
Ban.
But stay order will go on for 3 years.
But implementation
nothing
and
can
this
be
thing
done.
will come unless we make them aware of all these things.
And a ban is, there's a stay order, government has banned it, O2 derm, pandem derm.
But,
There is a stay order, it is in appeal, moment the appeal hearing is over, maybe the ban may continue. But point is, it's a due process of
Which means
taxation.
years together it may be.
That is a due
Yeah,
process of
it
law,
will
we
take
can't
some
change the
time.
judicial system. But it's a stay order to the ban. It may, as after the appeal is heard, maybe the ban may
So
come
they
back.
have so much money that they can easily get a stay order.
That is there.
So
that is the
So whether we can do something
One
that
product
they
is
not get
75
a.
crore. You can spend 5-10 crore to get a stay order.
Exactly.
See, one product, beauty product, 45 minutes advertising program they give in the TVs. How much we proved that it has a steroid and then 4 days it was stopped, again restarted.
What SOPs you are talking about?
Yeah.
What exactly?
No, I
What is
think
SOP?
what is the problem and sir, it will
See,
be
UK, they have British Association of Dermatologists. They have guidelines for treatment of most of the major diseases. Here we have a few guidelines from IDVL for few conditions, not for
But
most.
how much are those guidelines enforceable in
No.
legalese? If we
Okay,
are,
I'll
if we
get
are,
back to basically how it hampers, how we deal as lawyers with all these problems. For instance, there is an SOP by some ex-hospital which prescribes a standard procedure to be followed, or there is an SOP by a which is, at times there are sponsored SOPs by which are sponsored by companies, even though they hire the, like you say, they hire the best lawyers, they hire the best doctors to make those SOPs, which prescribe the usage of those drugs. So now, for even a treatment of a single disease, there might be some 10 SOPs which are floating in the market. One would be by one of the most experienced doctors because some company would have sponsored it. For instance, in US, you have to disclose your research resource, basically who has sponsored your research
Conflict of
and whether there will be any conflict. But in India, there is nothing like that.
No, we do.
just I'll make a point,
Yeah.
in IADVL guidelines, these guidelines, when they are published in IJDVL, obviously we have to declare the conflict of interest. So wherever guidelines have been published by IJDVL, this conflict of interest doesn't come into play. Because it is vetted by the editors,
We also
we don't have, yeah.
We have.
No, but what about the other SOPs which are
So
floating?
but the thing is whether these guidelines will ultimately stand in court. Supposing a doctor is taken to court, he has treated according to the guidelines. These guidelines, will they stand in court? That is
Yes,
what I'm
these
asking.
guidelines stand in court. Basically, I'll tell you what happens in court. Is a doctor is the one who gives or testified against another doctor. To defend any doctor for a medical negligence, we we basically quote some text, some prescribed textbook or some standard operating procedures, which the court says, okay, if you would have
But
done
who
this,
decides which is a standard textbook?
standard textbook basically from
Madam,
Which is
there are
prescribed by
only
MCI.
there are only 3 rules which the court looks at, which is called as the accepted medical practice. One, it will be certified by another doctor of the same qualification as the doctor whom a medical negligence is alleged, and the preference will be a government doctor there. Two, the textbook should be the standard textbook on that subject.
Prescribed by MCI.
It's a standard textbook. It may be international publication, but remember, it will be a textbook and not a journal or an article in a magazine.
Then our guidelines won't stand in court. That's what
So
I'm
my
asking.
second,
No, guidelines will stand, but
it should be practiced by majority of the doctors or a respectable minority. It need not be that 80% practices and 20% don't, practice something else. Even the 20%, they should be a respectable minority. It cannot be
for
given.
instance, doctors having some
See, for
30 years experience,
standard
yeah.
treatment, this does not become a problem. But there are some diseases in which we use off-label indications. For example, if you use Dapsone in lichen planus and the patient develops a hypersensitivity syndrome and the patient goes to court, then where do we stand? See,
So
this
basically-
is mentioned in journals. Acceptable minority, as you would say.
No, that's the point.
No, that's a
It
very
has to
good
be-
point. That's a very good point that Madam has made. Is basically, even you say for certain medicines or certain prescriptions, there should be a guideline which even regulates the off-label, the use of the drug.
So if a reputed organization like IATBL endorses these guidelines, this should be accepted by MCI and by the court of law also.
It will be.
Okay, so you are saying that, so
It is
why can't we
accepted,
come,
it will
why
be.
can't
Really
we?
legally
We
accepted.
can make
Yeah,
recommendations.
Yes,
Since
ma'am, this we can
2000
recommend.
Yeah.
We can make recommendations.
We can make this recommendation saying that off-label use.
So both is saying it is accepted, but not.
See,
So it is accepted.
he just mentioned about accepted professional practice is one of the differences in
Yes.
any case of alleged medical.
Any sort of.
Now, if you also mentioned that expert in that field can give evidence. Now, if you have an association giving guidelines on that particular management, it has more value than one
Yes.
independent expert giving an opinion.
So basically, we
So-
come to a conclusion on this, that we need one standard guidelines for number one, how the drug is used, number two, who prescribes, and number three, any off-label use of the drug. Even that should be in the guideline rather than beating around the bush,
Even
waiting
for
for other.
important, see in dermatology we have very few conditions which can cause mortality, especially toxic epidermal necrosis and all. After that, AMRI matter where almost 11 crores was awarded. We came with a consensus report, I think, IATBL, on how to manage TEN. So if we have such a consensus report on management of important conditions, like even simple things like lichen planus, if you are not responding to steroids or you can't use steroids for a long period, under what circumstances when you can give Dapsone? You can't give Dapsone as a first line of therapy. Or if you have not asked history of sulfa sensitivity, then you are in the wrong. So there will be circumstances under which you can prescribe Dapsone even in lichen planus or levamisole in vitiligo. So
No, just to correct you, incidentally, sulfa is different from sulfone. There is no cross reactivity.
no, there is cross reactivity if I am not wrong.
No, not sulfa.
Not always.
Not always.
There could be, but not
But
always.
off-label use, I think, is a grey area.
See,
Which unless there are protocols,
So basically, what we can recommend to the MCI or to the government is to
So
have.
how often the guidelines should change? Because these trials are going every time. Sometimes with Dapsone, some after a year you will say that hydroconazole or some. I'm just putting a word arbitrarily.
this is where the associations.
So you're saying
But
that.
that exactly, I read, say if I read a journal, British journal, if it has mentioned something good, and I do it for my patient, and I realize not endorsed, would I be liable to court case?
Yes, yes. There are judgments wherein if you If some problem crops up and you are going to be held for a case of negligence, the proper thing, when it is science and theory, science will be looked at by the court of law. It will be standard textbook. An authoritative textbook is what is going to be looked at and not a journal. Journal is a theory. That is
If the
judgment
next
theory.
volume of the book comes,
Then it is fine. If it is there in a textbook, then there are judgments where an article was mentioned based on which a treatment was given and the court looked at this, the textbook mentioned this. Because a journal is a theory. It is
Basically,
not
it is
something
some
proven.
experiment or some observation by an individual.
It has to be
doctor.
authoritative. The
Which
judgments
may
are very
have
clear on that.
Given good results.
I think
Can
Dr.
I have one
Shetty,
question?
Yes.
Sorry,
yeah.
please.
Dr. Shetty, can you repeat what are the things in the court stands? Because let them understand first and then,
He told us 3 things.
yeah.
See, I will just put it,
Yeah.
courts looked at something which is called as accepted medical practice. What is an accepted medical practice? One, it should be practiced by the doctors of that profession. One, it need not be the majority, it can be a minority, but it has to be a respectable minority. It is not that me and my friend decide, okay, we will start this treatment and become a
What is a respectable minority?
respect, even 20% of, then even
Yeah,
20%. My point is, I and my friend start a new treatment and we don't become the respectable minority. It should be. Two, it should be prescribed by a standard textbook of medicine. It's not an Indian author, it is a standard teaching textbook. Three, it should not be against the law of the land.
So I have one question. Like you said, sometimes the textbooks come after, the new edition comes after 5 years.
Yeah.
And there are randomized controlled trials, which are
Which are considered
placebo
level 2
controlled,
evidence.
which are, and the
Won't
textbooks.
they stand in court?
Standardized, the randomized controlled trials in a journal, which are then mentioned in the next edition of textbook. So which are actually more accurate. Textbooks are written based on the trials in the journals.
Courts,
as
As
of
of
one
date.
example, ibuprofen now we use for tinea is around 200 milligram 2 times a day.
No, Rashmi,
But
this-
many of the textbooks still mentions 100 milligram.
no, that's why they are asking what are the things in extra which, whatever they have
Yeah,
mentioned,
exactly.
is
Yeah,
not
understand
enough,
now.
what are the additional things?
Sir,
which
in my
is-
opinion,
No,
what you
India is
said,
one
acceptable
example.
minority and against the law of the land becomes vague for us, actually speaking. I mean,
Yeah, because even this is kept open to interpretation, because for respectable minority in a village will be different and respectable minority in Bombay will be much different. In village there will be in general total 10 doctors from which 2 certify that we use this medicine here and it is working. So for that village or any incidence of that code, that area, that becomes a respectable minority. If you come to Bombay, that will be way different. So that is why this word respectable minority has
sometimes
to
it
be
does
understood.
happen,
Court
like
will
when
accept about that locality only, not as a whole nation.
Sir, can I
Basically, the
give
court
an
says
example?
basically,
There was
when you have a case of negligence, there will be two parties. One is the accused and one is the accuser. One of the expert board will be a government doctor standard. And you have to get another doctor from your side. So these people have to argue. And you have to quote the textbook which you have followed. As simple as that. The textbook of that date should mention the treatment. The next edition may mention something else. The law will change with that. But presently, the textbook which is in vogue is what is going to come. The next edition you cannot quote for. So the point I want to make is, the law will look at the textbook as in book today. So you cannot say that the next edition.
This is an example of lichen planus. Somebody has given dapsone and the patient developed hepatitis, patient died. So the case has gone to the court and then the simple question was indicated. He showed the IIT well textbook, it was indicated, it is accepted. So what we can do is probably make guidelines, first line of treatment, second line, third line guidelines and get it endorsed by the IIT drug controller and the medical council
Important thing.
via
Mentioned in
IIT,
our books, huh?
so that
I didn't expect.
IIT well textbook it can be incorporated.
Yeah, associations have to make protocols. That court will look
That
at
is
the
already we are
protocol.
making, sir.
I'll just get you in
Mr. Shetty, about the government doctors, whether it is a retired doctor, government also can be,
They basically look at a working government doctor. But if there is nobody, then even a private doctor they take or a retirement doctor they do take. But preferably a government medical college. The closest government medical college.
No, it is respectable, as you said, majority, whether they have quantified, because these
They
courts
said
have got
20%, no?
each,
He said 20%.
no, but whether it has been accepted, otherwise every judge has got their own whims.
Interpretation is very different
Yes.
from my point.
Every judge, even there are 5 judges sitting, then the 5 judges they differ. So what is there should be some absolute.
When a judge makes a judgment, he also asks around. He will not be directly giving judgment based on what he has heard. He will be asking some doctor which he knows. So basically, if you look at the National Commission or the State Commission, they tell you we have rung up one of our friends to ask is it illegal or illegal. So the point is this is a question of practice.
Even in National Commission, we have a doctor who is qualified.
I think that is another problem now, the commission is going to change.
As well as LLM.
There will be only one
He is
doctor.
LLM and MD Dermatology. So he is maintaining silence, but he has a lot of things to say.
Yes, sir, definitely your suggestions would be more than good enough for us
He
to.
is LLM.
So, can I interrupt? We were talking about drugs only. There are now so many instruments which has come new.
Yeah.
Most of the government hospital does not use those.
I have points, but I think first we should cover what has been there in the agenda. Then I have few points. Then that is when we should
That
discuss.
is, in that case, if we get some court cases.
I have written a few things, but I think first we should cover their agenda.
Okay, so I'll summarize whatever we have done till
Yes,
now,
correct.
or whatever suggestions which we plan to give. So that first is there should be a standard operating procedure which should be approved, and as such said it should be reviewed time to time.
Yeah, it should be.
As soon as something comes in the market, then it should be reviewed so that everything is in place, updated. Number two, there should be.
that I'm late, but then I
Yes.
just like to add. Suppose I want to try a new drug for new indication. Told the patient that this is what I'm going to try. This is not determined by good, but sometimes it works.
That is already.
It's covered.
Basically, the
It's covered.
off-label use. That is what we are talking about.
That's why I said I'm late. Because
Okay, then-
I just want to add, according to the law of consent, if you have informed the patient that
Yeah,
you are
sure.
trying out a new technique or a new drug, with the patient knowing the risk which he is taking, then court will accept. As long as the patient knows this is something which is being tried, which has not been tried before or not there in the textbook, and if the patient accepts that and it is documented, then there should be no issue with the court of law. But with the proper consent, with the patient knowing the full consequences of what consent is.
advantages and disadvantages to myself.
Well, but the consent and everything should be documented properly, and it should not be something which would lead to some serious consequences to him.
Even in the serious, sorry.
Yeah.
Even if the serious consequences are told to the patient.
In medicine, once in a while, anything like aspirin, you give it with full knowledge that it is going to work, and sometimes it can cause like Stephen Johnson syndrome. Then we are not expected.
Here the rule is, if the complications are more than 10%, the patient has to be informed about the consequences. If the complications are less than 10%, then it is your therapeutic privilege to not inform the patient, provided, supposing the patient something and this complication which is less than 10% is asked by the patient, then you have to tell him the full, a rare 1% possibility of a stroke. You may not mention it, but the patient asks that there is a possibility this happens.
We have to say yes.
But you have to explain it to him, but that fact has to be documented that I have explained, he had asked. Documentation part is the one thing. Any new technique
Actually,
you
we are
have,
doing both written as well as video consents we are taking for any drug which is to be extended indications or any new drug trials.
so the presently,
1 hour to the patient.
presently, the written documentation is what is in vogue. Video consent is, presently we don't have any judgments.
He is talking about clinical trials, but even today, DCGI has said that it is only for the vulnerable population that you need to do video consent. You don't really need to do for all patients now.
Oh, in all the.
And regulated trials.
Yeah.
And should that documentation be in patient's language?
That is
always.
That is standard. There are times when you may not know the language of the patient, so at least you can get away with somebody endorsing the consent in the language which you have written down, so that at least suppose in a relative, you have talked to a patient, he is from Jharkhand, he knows Hindi, you have written a consent in English, at least countersign the relative who is signed in English, who understand, that will be a way out, because every language, India's all languages, I mean, you can, here you may have a consent form in Marathi and English, but it need not be in Gujarati. So the point is you have somebody who can sign in the language which has been put on paper.
So you are summarizing.
Yeah, basically, first thing was the standard SOP and it should be reviewed from time to time. Then there was an off-label use and there should be regulations to even regulate the use of off-label use of medicines. And yeah, these are the basic two consensus which we have reached as a suggestion what we are going to
Even those triple combination, the drug regulation that you have to.
Okay, so combination drugs in the
Irrational combination should be banned by the government.
Powders and
Already.
soaps.
And their prescription should be confined to the dermatologist. These irrational combinations we don't want only, the others like topical steroids and
and one more was the cosmetics which have any drug into it
Should be
only
treated as a drug.
allowed to be
treated as a
sold by
drug.
Should be treated as a drug.
It is a
The
decent.
redefine cosmetics and implemented strictly.
See, I will just make it clear. Now we have glycolic acid which we use for, it reduces wrinkles, it improves hydration, whatever. Now, prescription products are 5% glycolic acid upwards. There are over-the-counter which are 1 and 2% glycolic. We don't have a problem with that. I'll tell you why. Because even the parlors may tell their patients you can use this. But we have problems with if ketoconazole 2% is prescription one. Why? Because it creates resistance. So even our 2% doesn't work.
These are widely
It's not a cosmetic.
But that is the same thing they have to
Yeah,
do.
No, basically
What
we have
is-
written
No,
that.
we
Should
don't
define
ban
which
everything.
is a drug and
He
which
said
is a
the definition
cosmetic.
of a cosmetic and
And
a
a
drug
drug.
should be very properly defined in consultation with the dermatologist.
Yes.
I mean, it should not be decided by a bureaucrat sitting up there.
and
Who has no
regulation
knowledge
sell
of that.
through the chemists.
Yes.
Yeah, and the
No
same.
refill without fresh prescription.
Yes.
I think higher steroid should be totally not be
Yes.
prescribed by doctors.
Yeah,
not
beyond
certified.
diclomethasone or something.
But
Should
it's
not be
I
not-
think that will be the
I
best.
think dermatologists use minimum steroids on
Yes,
every.
Yes.
But we have pseudo-educated patients, they use clobetasol on their own and we write hydrocortisone, they say you are writing cortisone for me.
Yeah.
And what they used was 1900 times less potent. But they don't know it is steroid.
Beyond a
Educated
certain
patients.
grade, should be prescribed only by dermatologists. Corticosteroids.
Irrational combination should be banned.
Yes.
That should be a logic. The Velpuri of all the
That should be.
combinations of medical.
In the pharma, we try to find out our loopholes. There are some reports, there are some people who have always done a trial with corticosteroids and antifungals or antibacterial, which is more useful because it has got a property of inflammations and other properties. So they are, banning will be very difficult, but there should be potency to be mentioned.
Yeah,
We'll
next.
move on to the next.
Yeah, the next is basically the second part of our agenda was how to regulate or what all problems are being faced by dermatologists because of the quacks basically. And
No, before that,
yeah.
whatever the production level, we have not mentioned that.
So okay, so the regulated production basically.
Yeah, because that.
We have
Production
written that.
Yeah,
that-
but
No, no,
Yeah.
production sale, he has not.
No, but we discussed that.
Powders,
No, but
antifungal
discovery
powders
summary
which
has
you
not
say should be
mentioned.
banned.
Even soaps if they all agree.
Soaps.
I'm sure soaps also, unless if you.
See, irrational combinations, powders and soaps, that should not be allowed.
I think 3 points we discussed. One is the production, second is the sale, and third is the dermatologist, without dermatologist's permission, the drug should not be, or only dermatologist should prescribe. These are the 3 things we discussed.
So, Prakari, coming to the next one.
Next point.
I think quackery boils down to defining who is a cosmetologist, dermatologist, trichologist.
Who is the cosmetologist and who is the off-label cosmetologist? That's so easily put.
I think this definition need to be clear.
So the definition should be made clear and qualifications for that should also be made clear.
Yes.
Like a homeopath cannot say that I am a cosmetologist.
Correct.
And trichologist.
Yes.
Tricologist.
Even a gynecologist cannot say I am a cosmetologist.
Gynecologists say.
Yes.
Ophthalmologists. There are gynecologists
There are
who have stopped
ophthalmologists.
practicing gynecology.
The pediatrician.
There are ENT surgeons who are now
Ophthalmologists.
Pediatricians.
Pediatricians.
There is a dental course, not an MDS, BDS, then MD, MCH, which is recognized by the, this was mentioned to be my plastic surgeon, they have a MD, MCH, dental surgery. Who says,
Maxillofacial. They are
who says they are cosmetologists?
So that
And it
is
is
why.
recognized by the Dental Council of India.
No, there is something
Now,
called
very
cosmetic
true.
dentistry.
You are absolutely correct. because
That is MDS.
No, but they are not doing cosmetic dentistry.
maxillofacial
That's what I'm saying,
area
they are going one step
supposed to
ahead.
have
Now, now BDS people are doing head examination.
deep inside. And they give a Botox or I give a Botox. Our knowledge level is that.
Now, this was mentioned to me of
No,
plastic
this is-
surgeons.
when we are talking about this thing, we are talking about our side. We don't know the other side.
See, now cosmetology
No, no, let
and
them
all these
first
cosmetic
one.
procedures.
No, let them
Yeah,
come for
let
question
them-
by
yeah.
question.
Let's cover all the points first and then.
Yeah, so basically we are here how to
Define,
control, how
definition
to
of a
define. So basically definition of all these particular branch
Six
of medicines or
terminologies.
branch of treatment should be defined. Number two, there should be a proper, only those persons who are qualified to those
Yes.
should be able to use or refer themselves as cosmetologists. And on that we think there should be a guidelines by the MCA. This is what I guess that's the consensus on this point.
So first, who should be the cosmetologist?
Yeah, that-
We should discuss.
So it should be three categories. The definition should cover the qualification, what all procedures each qualification can carry out, and what he cannot carry out.
The insurance indemnity they mentioned, dermatologist with following procedure this much premium, dermatologist with little more, premium is more. So the definition with the dermatologist is the cosmetologist or not? It has to be included in the MD dermatology including cosmetology. Previously we used to have dermatology including leprosy. So can our association do that?
And what is the extra training required for a senior person?
Yeah,
When
attending
we
some
were studying,
workshops,
when we were studying, there was no
Questions.
cosmetology.
These questions
So what-
arise when we say.
So what kind of training do I as a senior dermatologist need to call myself a cosmetologist?
Don't ask
Or-
them, give suggestions.
No,
They
no.
want information.
No, they will
See,
find
See,
it.
as part of standard curriculum now, we have cosmetology, okay? Our students are taught chemical peels,
Our
basic.
students are taught, I have not learned.
Yeah.
So
I-
what additional,
No, we cannot call ourselves cosmetologists
Ah.
because our degree
Degree
says
doesn't
MD
say.
dermatology.
MD dermatology.
Correct.
But sir, now chemical peels, the basic
It's a part
procedures
of
are
our
part of
syllabus.
our
No,
curriculum,
so
NCI curriculum.
Yes, yes.
Basic
So it all
dermatology is
goes
also
back to
part of our
definition.
curriculum. Laser is also part of our curriculum.
When we
So
require
MD dermatology should be able
That
to
has to be
practice.
endorsed by
Yes.
medical council
Yes.
that
Yes.
dermatology includes these procedures
yes,
also.
that is what.
That is important.
Because it is part of MCI curriculum, no
Yes.
sir?
Somebody who passed 20 years ago
All
is
these
not a
procedures-
cosmetologist.
So because
So how
as
do-
for an MD seat recognition, we are supposed to have a laser.
On dermatology,
Laser
broadly,
is yes.
BMS,
Laser is one.
Yeah.
Laser means
Sir, I think you,
UMS and BMS, they all should be banned. They all should be banned.
Ayush.
First, yeah, Ayush.
that is.
Ayush doctor should be banned.
This sir mentioned ki we have this credit point. But credits point does not include ki you have to do this course or that you just have to attend so
No,
many
but most of the
classes.
conferences where we go, they may be having some kind of a courses like this.
No, there is no strict protocol in that conference ki this is subject is there or that subject
Yeah,
is
yeah,
there.
MCI.
It is just that if you have a whole day workshop, it will be 2 points. For 2 day workshop, it will be 4 points.
And if I go
Yeah,
for
The quality of the workshop does not matter.
Yeah.
As long as it is, those guidelines will be followed, as long as it's not sponsored. It is the association who should be
Now
authorized.
MNC, they are accrediting speakers. So it's not that they are not doing anything.
Yeah.
Because MMC needs to have an accredited speaker. in
But
their-
even if I attend a radiology conference, I get points.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't be there. Radiology,
So,
I
but
get
What
points.
sir has been, Dr. Shah has been saying, ki if you attend this course, will we be given that extra knowledge which will make us a cosmetologist.
No,
We are talking about 20 years
just
back.
attending a conference or a workshop doesn't make that person a cosmetologist. That is very clear. it has to be part of the MCI curriculum, but the only flip side of this is like Rajan mentioned.
20 years back there
हाँ,
was no
20
such
years
thing.
back this was
So
not.
what do they do to
हाँ.
be called as, that's
They
what
should
the
have
question
workshop,
is.
they should have
Workshop they attended.
So,
The workshop will not be considered for degree, will it?
So what is the
Training, then
way
training.
out?
basically,
So
Training
training
courses is
courses,
is a choice.
like,
okay,
we get a point,
basically how
we should have
to basically
a
upgrade the knowledge.
upgrade.
And then
and legally permit you to practice that new
No,
science.
what he wants to say is 20 years back the curriculum was different.
Hmm.
Today the curriculum, they are officially cosmetologists, but he wants to become a cosmetologist. If the law says it has to be
Go
this.
for it.
So
Go.
what does he do to gain that degree?
So
See, IDVL has come out with fellowships, that is fellowships for these particular like dermatosurgery, etc. So whether that will count in MCA.
Limited है.
So
That
the
is
whole-
also limited.
I think we should
These
keep
scholarships
training
and
workshop.
other things are up to
Or-
35
speak
years.
on
So
one
what
second.
about me?
We should keep training workshop.
Yes,
Training workshop should be qualified,
yes,
you know.
yes.
Yeah, training workshop
there
should
shall be
be
some
some point.
standardized.
I think same
Yeah,
thing
if
you
I get
Training
5
workshops
points
which
of
are
that.
standardized by the respective association should be considered as a
Yes,
standard,
standard, yes.
not by any
Not
Of course, that has to be standard. Once it is standard, it should be a standard.
Can I?
you have to differ.
No, not different. There's a little conflict of interest. Now, for example, I'll speak about myself. I've written a chapter in the textbook of cutaneous surgeons. So, are we cutaneous surgeons or are we dermatologists?
So that is again
And I've written
definition.
a chapter on nail surgeries. I was the first one to learn. I self-taught myself. I went abroad and learned from people. So, during my curriculum it was not. So, I'm not qualified as a nail surgeon, but I've written a chapter, and if I become attached to college, I teach, and those people will learn and they'll say that it is there in their curriculum. So most of our teachers who have now included lasers and chemical fields, when they qualified them, they were qualified, they did not have that in their curriculum. But now they are teaching. So students will get a qualification in that subject in which the teachers did not have qualification. Is there a conflict of
But
interest
that was
there?
always the case.
No,
So
one
my
second.
the teacher was
No,
not
no,
in
no,
India.
no,
complete,
I'm
yeah.
coming to
Let it be complete. So,
that
and
was always the
secondly,
case, there will be a grey zone.
My teacher was not in
Yeah,
India.
so I'm just,
We are doing everything.
I,
So we don't have an official degree at present at all.
May I complete? So secondly, for example, when I learned 15 years ago, injection of botulinum toxin, there was a 3-day workshop, full-day workshop, which those who are leaders now, they all attended that in Jaipur, and we had 3 days more, and there was somebody from Australia. But this was a workshop arranged by a company which makes the toxin, so there's a conflict. But they taught me better. Of course, I attended full-day workshops in American Academy, which is more academic,
Yeah.
and I paid, and I got certificates from there also, but they taught me less than what this company taught me, and all these people practice. But it was not a part of their curriculum when they were getting their degrees. It was not part of my curriculum. But tomorrow, if I teach others, they attend a course and they are given a certificate. So there's a big conflict there.
So
I'm
as-
at a loss as to how to.
Basically, this is again coming to what sir suggested, that there should be some qualification or some additional qualification
Correct,
after
but-
which you can
Correct. So that.
teach or basically.
But
I
that
think
qualification.
if we go for qualification, it will be chaos.
No,
It
once
should be only training.
Seniority.
One second, now let me finish. See, previously who were our examiner for the
Yeah,
MD?
yeah.
All DVD or
DVDs.
Yes,
DVD
yes,
teachers
what
were
I said.
I was talking about that point.
So
Yes.
when is anything is new development takes place, for example, cosmetology should be practiced by the dermatologist, but those dermatologists should be exposed to cosmetology. That is a training. That should be enough. If you
So
go for
after 10
degree,
years.
if you go for the fellowship, it's not
So basic
enough. It
things
will
we
be
know
very
it.
restricted.
Basically,
So I fully
No,
agree.
no, earlier, sir,
upgradation.
earlier,
Make
all
it
those who
simple,
are
don't make it
DM cardiology, earlier DM cardiology, gastrology, DM nephrology,
Not there.
all the examiners were only head of department in our Nair hospital. They were only MD, and they examined DM cardiology
No, Dr.
students.
Mukadam, same thing, like any
Yes, he is right.
new development takes place,
Yes.
the place takes only, who
Dr.
were the skin
Dr.
specialists?
Marquis.
Yes.
No, Rashmi, who were the skin specialists?
Yes,
They were
yes.
MBBS in the beginning.
Yes.
They were not
So after
dermatologists.
certain number of years, 10 years.
So
of
that's
practice,
why.
Then you
they
are
should be
automatically
given only
considered.
training. I think
Yes, yes,
training
I
workshop
agree.
should be
So
I
basically,
After
agree.
10 years of
Almost like a point.
So basically where
Don't
this issue
complicate.
arose, because as you said, beauticians and like madam also said, any other branch of medicine is also practicing cosmetology. But as dermatology, we have certain basic training in skill which
Yeah,
makes us
correct.
liable to
Yeah.
understand cosmetology better or dermatosurgery better. So we can have additional training and practice cosmetology.
Yeah.
But a person who is an ophthalmologist or a dental surgeon,
They should-
by no criteria, if he attends a workshop, he should not become liable to practice this.
See,
That is the basic
that
difference.
comes next. First you define who are and then who
That
should
is what
not.
is the definition, no sir, that is what I am
No,
defining.
second point, our next point,
Maybe the point I want to make is,
So
your
I-
teachers
see,
may
I-
not have been dermatologists. You said
Yes.
he was a
MBBS.
They
don't
have
qualification.
So what we can do is like we don't, after 60 years, you don't write registration. We can have a cutoff. Ki by then it was not there. So we can have a cutoff ki after so and so age,
Yes.
this degree will be a little discussion will be given. That is the one thing which we can
If
do.
they are in the field.
In the field, of course, they have to be practicing.
Ophthalmologist cannot enter it.
Correct. A skin specialist,
Yes.
a DVD of let's say 1940s, 50s,
Yes.
he will be, the cutoff will be allowed,
Yes.
ki where he will be given that much of discretion because
He is a.
he is there in the field. Like after 60 years, we don't require any credit points anymore.
Only,
They are allowed to.
only when you start learning the first time a
60
new
by
subject,
60 by years.
the first batch which learns does not have a training available in a
Yes, correct,
standardized
correct, correct, that's
association. They have learned from others.
correct, that's
Then they train others. So that should be allowed, I believe.
I mean,
So-
so that's
so
what they are
you say
cut off.
one thing, see, it's okay to say, for example, if an ENT surgeon or somebody learns Botox, fillers, and they start doing it, according to me, it's as good as me was not trained for this when I did my MD. Now I'm learning, I'm like, fine.
No.
But when,
It's an ENT, you are talking
No,
about a
no,
non-dermatologist.
wait, what I'm talking
Fillers
about is,
are-
now chemical peels, which is even being done in parlors today, the problem is that we dermatologists, we will ask for even herpes labialis, we will
Yeah,
ask these
correct,
things
that's
which we know because we are so trained in dermatology. People will be just doing it on these patients. They will get complications related to the fact that, they may be having herpes and now they have got an extensive reaction, which is now. So, second thing is, lot of non-dermatologists, unfortunately I should say even dermatologists I know, who will give topical acyclovir to such, I know people who are doing this. So there is like a very grey area.
And Chitra, that's why I have simplified.
Define.
All dermatologists should be given training and
Yes.
should declare as a
Yes,
hospital.
yes,
But
yes.
just simplify it.
Not
Just
by
don't
reputed
complicate.
organization.
Only the older ones who did not have part of their curriculum, now it
Yeah,
is
but-
part of the curriculum.
No, but
We
that-
don't require it.
No, that's okay. That what you say that when it's curriculum, that is automatic. But the people who are in the class,
Already-
they should get a training.
Yes.
Who are not eligible for training, that has to be specified.
Yeah, that is the third point.
Who
For
are not
example,
eligible for training.
I'm little
Why
bit
not
on
dermatologist are
No,
not-
but the point is, my
No,
degree
I'll just tell you.
certificate doesn't
No,
mention
Sheetal,
those.
he is right.
So this should give us
I'll just
additional
divert.
weightage.
Like when who should practice HIV, this was discussed many times. So internationally they have defined anybody is following patient for 2 years, any faculty, they should call HIV specialist because they want lot of doctors should come forward.
Sir,
That
HIV is a different issue
Different.
because
No,
it's a
no, no,
multi-system
no,
disease. It's a
exactly.
multi-system
Exactly.
disease.
Different
I mean, don't different because
It's same thing.
all everything is same. So how they have developed, like
This
cosmetology
developing branch
should be
should be-
practiced by dermatologists, but they should be given training, finished.
No, but
So are
those
you
who are
trying to say that
observing-
any of the other
No,
doctors?
no, all the
can do
senior
And
this?
the
Which
third point,
Which
as
branch?
Sushil
Sir, are you saying
Which
that
branch
GP
is
should
not
be allowed to
eligible?
practice if
Ah,
they are
so
given
next point
training
no,
in
no.
cosmetology?
Pardon?
Are you saying that GP should be allowed to practice cosmetology if they are
You
given
what
training?
I'm
Basic
saying,
dermatology.
dermatology, you are
That
unnecessary.
is what I'm
Basic
saying. You
dermatology.
said anyone.
No, that is the
yeah,
next
that's
point
right,
now.
right.
First you define who should
So,
be there.
let us-
Once you
Let us
define, then say
dermatology.
Let
who
us
should not
take
be
each
there.
definition.
But sir says the basic degree of
Great.
dermatology has to be
Exactly,
there.
that was, that's what I
Over and
already said.
above, what we are discussing is over and above the
I'm trying
plus.
to finish
You
it.
had a course, you became a cosmetologist. They did not have a course. Shouldn't they do something about it?
I
So
think
that
let
they
us
can-
take each definition and
No, sir, if that is the way, then plastic surgeons will question us, how can they be cosmetologists when we do cosmetic surgeries? What is
See,
it?
I'll tell you, a plastic
You should
surgeon,
be doing the complicated
our-
processes.
According to
According to
science,
science.
It's like complicated.
Basic
Basic
surgery.
See, this is the developing branch, this is
So
the
they are
developing
learning the
branch.
facial
That is
anatomy.
part of
That
their
is their
curriculum. They are
plan for
qualified
many
to
people.
practice. They are qualified to
Why
practice.
not a patient,
But they cannot handle
person who
the
has been
complications
trained as a
like we
patient,
can handle. That is the
bachelor
other
patient
problem.
surgery.
Management of
cannot do
Of peels.
Botox.
We only can handle.
Why
Something I wanted to
because it's not a part of a
No,
surgery.
They are
Medical is not
they
always
are
a
far
part of
more
a surgery.
qualified to do
Women's
Botox
surgery,
and
right?
fillers than us, because they understand facial anatomy way more than us.
Dermatologist who's doing blepharospasm, giving Botox, he's trained to give Botox.
Yes.
So he
All those
That
who
is part of this curriculum, sir. So he is qualified to practice.
can give Botox, he can give Botox here also.
Because once he says cosmetologist, he
Let
cannot.
us provide.
He can put 2 Botox here, he's
He
trained
wants
to
to have
give.
a hammer on his table.
So because this is rather one-to-one discussion rather than the.
Can I have one word
Yeah,
before
yes,
that?
yes, sir, please.
Sir, basically in our dermatology, the degree is being written in different ways. Somewhere MD dermatology, venereology, leprosy, including HIV, and these kind of different nomenclatures are still existing in India. So ask for a single MD dermatology, which includes cosmetology also, has to be endorsed by medical council.
Dermatology, venereology, leprosy,
All put together again.
and
Do
cosmetology.
we need leprosy in that now?
Yes, yes.
But
Of
that
course,
is-
I am diagnosed.
MD is dermatologist.
That should be come into medical council.
Chandigarh they say
board एकदम इतना बड़ा हो जाएगा.
I am.
Everybody has done.
It's like a physician writing, MD physician, cardiologist, diabetologist.
One program has
HIV specialist also.
There is one escape route, once you mention the cardiologist, you can practice, they have said, you are MD dermatology or MD something else
Yes.
with a special interest in the cosmetology. Will that be allowed? Because there was a time when the cardiologist was not there.
Why you are complicating when they are giving it, don't answer it.
There was a time when the MD people who were practicing cardiology, there was a, I think, big case on that. And when he said, I was trained for cardiology and I have got a special interest in
should
cardiology.
have a recognized degree.
Dr. Udare, that is the same thing I told.
Then a
You
problem.
take a training and finish it.
Then a problem here is there was no cardiology then. So you can write special interest in cardiology.
No, so he was
Today
not-
when you
he
have
had not
DM
done so
cardiology,
he,
you
he
cannot
was-
write special interest in cardiology. We have got MD physician who said master in digestive sciences.
Now,
He has done a 1 month course in gastroscopy, does not make him a master. That is a grey area which we can go on and on.
that exactly because it's a overlapping.
When you have a DM,
We have that.
gastroenterologist, you cannot talk of digestive sciences.
I think don't divert issue.
Yeah.
Let us start. Otherwise, it khatam nahi hoega.
Yeah.
You won't be able to come the real good
Yes.
points.
No, Dr. Shetty, you are on the right track, that now we have to define that as such cosmetology we have got in our curriculum, but now those who are the seniors who are practicing, so you have to define a period, so
Yeah.
cut-off period, so those they can practice without this curriculum.
So that's what a cut-off period.
That is what he said.
अभी हो गया है ना, बस कितना बार वही repeat कर रहे हैं. Same people are saying.
No, that has not been accepted. Now
अरे
the-
accepted में suggestion दिया ना sir. सब suggestion दिया है ना
Conclusion
उन्होंने.
on this point at least.
Yeah, you can you
First of all, there should be, all these branches should be defined, like who is a cosmetologist, who is a trichologist, everything should be properly defined.
I think which are those branches we should be final today.
No, fine, so let him
Which
first
are
of all
the
the points.
branches?
No, the definition should be clear.
No, the
First
here is not that give
you are not hearing him at all.
definition should be clear cut. Yeah, so who's going to be the
but there are
cosmetologist?
6 or 7 terminologies.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that
yeah.
it has to be very clear cut, there should be no grey areas. That is what you want to see. And for people who have not been trained in that, a certain cutoff should be given off so that they will not be held liable in a court of law, but because they have been practicing, the experience should count.
Yes.
But not when it is added to the curriculum, it has been added to
Dr.
the.
Shetty, now let him
Yes,
finish.
sir.
I thought it is getting unnecessarily same point.
Just
same-
summarizing what he wants.
So let
Yeah, and second is, after being defined, then there should be some upgradation course or any qualifications for the old dermatologists who don't have all this qualification. And after which they should be given a,
Yes, correct.
they should be able to refer themselves as dermatologists. And apart from this, sir, anything else?
qualification. Dr. Tailani has raised
Training,
the
qualification.
point, those people are experienced, no, you said they should be
People in,
wave up.
people in branches other than dermatology who are eligible to be qualified as cosmetologists or those who use injections, for example, I'll give you we learned about muscles like procerus and all only after we learned Botox. It was not a part of the curriculum, one. But there are plastic surgeons who know about these muscles. My daughter is an oculoplastic. After doing MS ophthalmology, she's done 2 years in oculoplasty and ocular oncology. Now she's doing 1 year fellowship at Los Angeles with the president of American Oculoplasty Association, and that person injects Botox and fillers besides doing surgeries. He injects fillers and Botox to 12 people every day, the president of Oculoplasty Association, because he is qualified to do it. So we cannot say that only dermatologists can do it, there are other branches, but which branches can, which cannot. For example, we have homeopaths who are self-qualified trichologists, being LCH, only licensed in homeopathy, and they buy press and press gives them full page articles. So
They're
which
getting
branches? And getting awards. So which
Attended by
branches?
Union Health Minister and all.
And my patients
So
who
Batra has given this, what is that national award?
No, so my patients who come from USA, Indians, NRS, they say, I never knew that you treat hair, so I went to Richfield, and then I got conned and I've come back to you knowing that you also treat hair conditions.
So for each
both of them
definition
people are
of
barred
what they
from
can
being-
practice.
using this word.
What is the role of plastic surgeons in hair transplant, and where do dermatologists come in?
That is,
There is a
great
gray area.
I think that
That is another
Dr. Shetty, I had a talk with Dr. Mysore Venkat, Dr. N.G. Patwardhan, because they were the president of this HairCon association. I had a talk with them for last 7-8 days. So they said the plastic surgeons who are trained for dermatology and the dermatologists who are trained for the hair transplant, these are the two people should be allowed to do hair transplant. That's what they have discussed. I said one of you should come, but both of them they could not come. So they said this is the definition they have said. If they are a plastic surgeon, they should get training for a dermatology, this about the hair. And if they are a dermatologist, they should be trained for the
Surgery.
hair
Trained by whom,
transplant.
sir?
Hair
Trained by
transplant.
whom? That will
Pardon?
be again a
Cross
great.
practice.
Pardon?
Trained by
Abhi-
whom?
By the experienced people, Abhi, don't, when there is no degree, again don't repeat
Again
it.
it will be
No,
experience.
don't repeat it, the same thing is applied. When there is no degree, there is no courses, it has to be trained by the
So
experienced
basically
people.
we are saying about the overlapping portion basically.
Yes, correct.
Someone
Yeah.
has
So
a-
they say,
overlapping
so they have,
Yes.
So even for the overlapping part,
yeah,
we
correct.
should have some
Clarity.
guidelines, some
Yeah.
clarity on
Yes,
those.
Who can be, who cannot be.
Who can or who cannot.
Cutaneous
Who cannot be the
First
Some
thing,
qualification
who
or
should-
training, any certification, qualification, training, whatever.
Yes,
can
correct,
come.
that's right.
There should be something for the overlapping
Correct,
part.
correct, that's right, that's right.
And
But
Dr. Kapoor,
is trichotology a part of plastic surgery
No,
curriculum?
no.
Surgery
Dermatology is part of
Surgery is-
dermatology.
They are surgeons.
But first you define trichologist, dermatologist should be trichologist or no?
There should
Yes,
be.
should be.
वो पहला वो clear करके दो ना बाद
But
में।
that trichology is a part of
Dermatology.
dermatology.
Anatomy of hair and all comes as our first chapter in
only, only a dermatologist can
That is the
diagnose the
biggest
hair condition, no,
chapter.
no plastic surgeon can diagnose.
plastic surgery.
Correct, that's right.
Chitra.
But आपके पास क्यों नहीं आता है? आप बोल
Then,
hair and nail are part of
Dermatoendocrinology, endocrinology.
ये समय है ना,
सब होता है, all the functions. Liposuction भी अपना हो जाता है क्या?
But ultimately, you
Age of
know,
training
Doctor,
on both the sides.
Dr. Lalit Kapoor, who practices medical, he is a surgeon, he said that gray zone will clear only when it comes as a part of curriculum. It should be mentioned as a part of curriculum.
No,
All
that
these
is later, before curriculum
So,
comes, we have to.
but ultimately we will work on that in the long run.
Sir,
As I think, as
As
they
it
develop
develop,
plastic
it will
surgery
come.
will study this.
like
Dermatology.
sir
Of course, they
said,
would-
some dermatologists are doing liposuction also,
Yes.
which is actually speaking not correct.
No, body
It's
sculpting,
actually
body
not
sculpting is being done by
Yes.
a
That is
dermatologist.
not part of our
Right.
curriculum.
They do
So
body
it is the other
sculpting.
way
No,
around
no,
also.
Sheetal, curriculum comes after some time. When any new development takes place, it has to be learned by experience. Then Abhi cosmetology you said, peels and all these in the curriculum, no? It was not there, so
Part of the curriculum.
subsequently it will come in the curriculum.
Body sculpting will never come in dermatology.
I
I'm sure.
don't think so, I don't think so it should come.
Yes.
No, no, actually, there may be people who may be interested in.
How can it be dermatology? Yeah? You are training in this.
There are complications which dermatologists can't manage.
Yeah.
Liposuction, people will die of shock also.
Which is
There
the
are
whole idea
I
is,
think it's fair.
the whole
enough.
idea is, a gynecologist doing a Botox
See, cosmetology and
should not be
cannot
allowed.
go
Basically,
for
there
Basically,
should be-
up level
should be
injection
allowed.
also.
My question
Very,
is,
very simple.
My question is rich field,
Interdiscipline practice should be
rich
regulated,
field,
should be
Dr.
stopped.
Patras,
Yeah.
advertises
Discourage.
such
Yeah.
Discourage.
full-page advertisements on dermatology. My question is, why doesn't the association take action? Because it is illegal.
We can't.
They don't come under
They are
MCI.
allowed to advertise.
They are not coming under MCI.
They are allowed to advertise, we are not.
No, not advertise. Take action against the
What, you
advertising.
cannot, they are not under
Sir,
MCA.
they are
Association,
doing
not
homeopathy.
चलो बंगाली बाबा का भी एडवर्टाइज आता है भूत बलित होता है
I think action का बाद में लीजिए, पहले आप define करो, action का बाद में लीजिए, पहले define करो, who should not practice.
They don't come under the purview of action. They don't. I will cure your cancer.
This is basically, we are going to another topic which I think is
Why action?
advertisement is
आप
altogether.
Yes, that is different.
Yeah, you go for the points, otherwise we are getting
Agreed,
diverted.
agreed.
Sir has very rightly suggested, basically interdiscipline practice should be regulated, basically stopped and should not be allowed. Basically a cardiologist should not be allowed to say that I am a
So what dermatology should not be allowed? We should be self-critical. What dermatology should not be
That's
allowed?
why I brought up that point of liposuction.
What exactly I am saying, we are trying to talk from our side.
Absolutely. What dermatology should not be allowed also should be mentioned.
Liposuction is not
It should be
allowed.
fair.
Liposuction should not be allowed to dermatologists.
But you read paniculitis.
पहला what is allowed करके
Yes.
बाद
You
में
read paniculitis.
But sir, we are not taught liposuction as part of curriculum itself. And the
वो
potential.
शीतल,
That is all right, that is all right.
what is allowed अपना काम पहला करके लो बाद में दूसरा सब्जेक्ट निकालो नहीं तो इधर 3 बजे का ऐसे ही
So because we move to something else.
yes correct
Advertising was that
Next point.
Yeah, if that is the part of discussion, we'll come to that, like how to regulate and whether you want the strict guidelines from
Oh,
MCI.
last
this kind of
time,
advertisement.
Yes, sir, they should be.
They should. Yeah, so we'll come to that. So we have come across and we ourselves have taken up another topic which is advertisement, which we'll discuss at length after this. So basically now can we point out what all we have agreed for basically?
Yes, please.
Yeah, please.
Defining the terminology.
Yeah, first
With
is
the policy.
defining. Second is upgradation or any
Senior people.
senior people. How can they be doing some course or some qualifications or some training, whatever as per the whatever discipline. For instance, cardiology will have, for instance, cosmetology will have some more training than a normal trichologist or whatever. As per whatever discipline they choose, there should be a qualification, training courses, qualification, whatever it might be now.
And once defined what procedures that person can do
Yeah.
and cannot do.
Excuse me, one more. This training should be conducted by the association.
Association, not just.
National associations.
Okay. And all this qualification training should be done, especially for the experienced people.
Actually, on the state level, you don't
Yeah.
have.
experience people रखो experience में association मत रखो experience रखो because there are a lot of problem with the many associations are there. Don't create problem for ourselves. See, by creating problem for ourselves, you are bringing
No,
unnecessary.
like Dr. Ajay said, definition
No,
of
no,
what
no.
words? Dermatologist, cosmetologist, trichologist, dermatosurgeon,
Aesthetiologist,
aesthetic dermatology,
cutaneous
laser surgeon,
surgeons,
or laser dermatologist.
cutaneous surgeons.
Yeah, dermatosurgeons.
No, dermatosurgeons, cutaneous surgeons.
That's same thing. No?
Same thing करो, why unnecessary एक ही करो.
Laser surgeon.
The associations has to do the training because then
नहीं, Dr. Shetty, association has to do it, but association doesn't have expert people. I tell you, they do not have expert people. So it has to be done by the experts, no?
No, but there is a requirement, there is a legal requirement. Association will
Show
have to
it
do.
till then, थोड़ा रहने दो.
See,
नहीं, वो सब तो-
I have got a contention here. I will get a few expert people
Yeah.
and it is sponsored by a pharma company, then it will be a conflict of interest between
No,
one
no,
person.
expert people from the same.
Accepted. My question is, does that accreditation be done by expert people, but it should not be sponsored by a pharma company when it is going to be a conflict of interest. So my question is simple, to somebody it has to be done on the agencies of somebody, so who is going to do it?
No,
So then the umbrella organization has to be an
it
association.
has to be association plus the expert people.
Expert people.
Plus expert people. Because as the association, many times there are no expert people because they have to also develop expert people.
But they will invite, no?
Yeah, they will invite.
Of course.
And it's a requirement
No,
they
you
will
will
invite.
get a pharma company getting expert people, but it will be a conflict of interest there.
In addition, बोलते हैं वो not the.
Chalo, ठीक है, next.
Okay.
So upgradation we decided.
Upgradation we agree.
Yeah.
Third one is overlapping disciplines. Basically, what all qualifications should be given or any prescribed training qualification, whatever you may term, only for the field where the field overlaps. Basically, a surgeon saying I'm a body sculpting and everything which we have discussed. So what all qualifications should be there for overlapping discipline? And the fourth one is interdisciplinary practice should be stopped and regulated, and there should be some strict guidelines for this.
Interdisciplinary practice between alternative medicine and allopathy medicine.
No, it is defined, then it is automatically stopped.
Patches are different.
If you define it properly, it is automatically stopped.
Homeopathic people cannot prescribe anything related to allopathy. That is
That
a
is
rule. I mean, it has to be.
Anyway.
The only problem is the enforcement is not being done.
Madam, the recently Supreme Court has passed homeopathic can also prescribe some other allopathic medicines.
Say allopathic medicine, there are problems with, I think,
So, but which allopathic medicines they can prescribe? That is not specified.
Not specified.
Even BMS people, they are, it's a
Shikha,
surgery also.
We
I
call
think we are
this
diverting
Ayurvedic,
from there.
homeopathic,
We are allowed to do a surgery.
Rashmi, 8 seconds. Homeopathic, Ayurvedic doctors at the periphery for serving people on that basis.
Yes.
The
They
court
are-
verdict is there, they are allowed to practice.
yes,
But
Only
as
in
an
villages.
allopathic, we are not allowed to practice homeopathic and Ayurvedic.
we are not allowed.
We are not allowed, but they are allowed.
Only in villages where the doctors are not available, only in villages.
No, but
Not
now,
here.
So does that judgment specify this
that
part,
would be the
that
old
only the
thing.
rural
Not
areas?
whole theory, the recent
That is-
court.
Now let
Private
us come
medical,
to the new
except
thing,
considering
that
Indian
these
government.
Ayurvedic, homeopathic and all these people should not be allowed
think
to
it is not-
practice
It is not a judgment. The government has said that they will be given a 1-year training
Correct,
course.
that's correct.
So
in
let us come
pharmacology,
out with that.
and based on the certification they will be allowed to, because the penetration of allopaths into rural area is less. Idea is they want the law, see they are finding a shortcut so that they can, because once you remove homeopaths from the medical, the general family
Village.
physician level, the whole rural medicine collapses because the penetration there is better.
Not a rural, even in Mumbai, if you go to Jodhpur,
Yeah.
80% of them.
No,
No,
but we
that
are not
is-
concerned with
Yeah,
that.
That is a
yeah,
different
yeah.
issue altogether.
Yeah,
we should not-
concerned.
I think we are
Only thing is that
wasting
this
time on this.
cosmetology should not
Because
be
this is-
these homeopathic, Ayurvedic or these other
This is
Unani should
wasting-
not be called as cosmetologists. That should be a.
That is where the definition.
So we should not
That
go
is
into
understood.
Yes.
That should be a law, we should be very clear.
There should be a law, yes, that should
This
be.
is the degree and this is,
Yes.
they are going to be labeled as cosmetology.
Yes, so that's all.
Yeah, right.
That is comes out to definition again.
That is, I think, once it is defined, once
Yes.
qualifications are prescribed, I think that takes care of
This
Who should not be?
who should not, basically. But if we cannot stop quacks, we can only make regulations and see that these are implemented.
The things you cannot eliminate, train
Yeah.
them.
But you reduce it at least.
Yes.
But if there are regulations put in place, there are penalties, there is a punishment prescribed for all this, I think that will at least
Control.
control. Not as rampant as we are saying, even a beautician in a beauty parlor writes we
They
do
got,
cosmetics.
they
and
got
all.
lasers, they got lasers.
They have lasers.
They were,
Yeah.
they should.
Botox, chemical peel, everything.
Lasers, lasers.
Imagine we're going to burn the person's skin.
All lasers they are being used.
And when the patients come to me, they're
Beauty
relation
parlor.
said that you are the first case.
Because one when they sell, no,
Never happened.
companies they put
And
in
you are
now.
seeing the 100th case from the same place.
But they are given the same dialogue. It's the first case. I'm good at it.
See the advertisement.
So, yeah, the advertisement which sir rightly pointed out, will come to that. But we have come to something else which sir is saying that the use of lasers basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And calling themselves as a cosmetologist by the beauticians. Especially at least this should stop. And there should be something more strictly.
But हो गया definition में हो गया.
The others are not.
We cannot stop quackery here.
They are not supposed to practice. They are not supposed to practice.
They don't come under the MCA.
Yeah.
Beauty parlor doesn't come.
So that is what that's clear that Bacteria can
Rich kid also is not.
That's out of market.
But that will be controlled.
वही कर रहा
No,
है.
no, but there should be some law.
But उधर जाके हमको करने को
You
मिलेगा.
cannot say that they are not in our hands.
करने को मिलेगा.
They cannot be controlled.
When you define cosmetology, that part is very clear that they are out of the purview of cosmetology and the law will take its own course. So the point is once you define it,
Yes.
that ends the matter.
Next.
These are all legal things, people, all things we can discuss in the legal matter for that. There are people now who will be a cosmetic practice they are doing. They use some dermatologist name and say we have a dermatologist on our
But we
side
can't
and
stop
doing-
that.
So that kind of practice,
We
then we
cannot
can
do
go on and discuss, it will be.
Yes, the dermatologist
That
is
is,
responsible.
these are all the points which are useless because they are illegal things.
So I think we
The
are
things
discussing
which
the
are
same
illegal
thing.
remains illegal.
Actually,
You have to go to
So I think-
judiciary.
okay sir, now one more thing which has come across during our discussion is how to regulate these advertisements
Yes.
and how to stop them basically. And should there be a control mechanism where if you see, okay, today's paper I see Richfield ad, there should be some place where I should complain, boss, this is there, this is what they are saying, this is the penalty.
It's not only Richfield, that
No,
affects.
no, but
everybody.
I'm giving an example. I'm giving an example because that has in a way taken over a lot of, you can say, a lot of patients from the actual qualified dermatologist.
I'll just give an example. Dr. Batra's ads about vitiligo also, and the person from Times of India who takes the money, who's the head of the department, his vitiligo is treated by me, so I told him, why don't you go to Dr. Batra? He's told me he knows the game. Apparently there's a 20 crore agreement between Dr. Batra's and Times of India, and they become business partners. So they give ads, and in return, Times of India allows them to write articles, free articles.
I think,
So they say even if you complain, we will never bother about your complaint because we look at the money that they're getting us.
So also already MCA has
But
guidelines.
इसलिए law बनाओ ना अब आने.
so let us have an.
Yes.
See, that is
MCA
exactly,
has
these are all
guidelines
illegal
about
things,
advertisement.
there are laws existing.
So that's why we have
implemented.
opened the topic.
So we cannot stop them from advertising,
But MCA
but
has
let us
guidelines.
give peace to
Yeah,
us to
yeah,
advertise.
The whole idea is,
We
Not
have
advertisers.
Advertisement.
these
But it
ads,
should be legal,
these
not-
ads, what I see is, it is being promoted by celebrities. Batra is being given national awards, promoted by celebrity. There was a recent law against
yes,
celebrities who
They can be
are a
not
part of
supported.
wrong advertisement.
Ah, yes.
So that kind of a law makes sense,
Yes.
Yes,
yes.
yes,
Yes.
definitely.
because the promotion of this
Yes. They
Dr.
are
Batra
liable.
is because of celebrities.
Yes.
Batra may be a great homeopath, but the question is, he's being promoted by celebrities.
Batra has not seen a single patient. He has not seen
Yes.
Now
any.
he does not
Yes,
get
yes.
paid.
We have to admire him for
No one
that.
knows.
We have to admire the Richfield and Batras.
Okay, so we have come to a conclusion saying that there should be a guideline which prohibit all these advertisements by
Any doctors.
any doctors.
Basically,
Basically,
doctors, anything pertaining to dermatology, any disease,
What is every disease here?
any
What every
disease,
disease?
any condition of skin or hair.
But
should
there
not
is a
be
law
advertised
for
by
that.
anybody.
There is a-
Spine
I
cutting.
think we are
Law says
wasting time.
doctor cannot
This is one
advertise,
thing.
No,
but
no,
a company can advertise. So
So,
by
yeah,
the
exactly.
company it is advertising.
Yes.
No, no,
Nobody
you
They
can
have
are
the law.
they are not
You have to
advertising
change
on
the law.
the name of Dr.
You have
Batra.
to give the suggestion to
Dr.
change the law.
Batra's clinic. It is not Dr. Batra's advertisement.
okay, so
Like
there
Richfield is a
Company,
company.
company can advertise.
So, sir,
Company can advertise.
If I
But
may-
sir, they are
trans-
mentioning
trans-
names of Apurva Shah
So I
also.
would like to summarize.
They
Yeah.
don't
If
come
I
under
may-
NCI, that's why they are
Yes.
If I don't cross the boundary, whatever legal
From UK,
faculty give them these loopholes.
He went and
So
got
they can
some
bypass the law.
CH from the
So
Gorakhpur
basically,
or
if you see, even for chartered accountants, basically, foreign chartered accountants were not allowed to practice. But all these PwC and the big four firms, they entered by doing a partnership with a local Indian chartered accountants. So if there is a loophole, people will exploit it. We cannot stop
So
it.
Richfield has that loophole because they employ dermatologists.
Yeah.
even Batra.
Batra also.
That loophole is there.
No, Dr.
Students are
Apurva Shah's
there.
daughter has joined
They are
MD
going to
Dermatology,
In
And
which
these are
private
all,
medical college?
and she's been told that the director was told that she may be allowed to go at 11:30, she'll focus on studying and then she's going to run a business. So don't trouble her by calling her for emergency duty.
What we can ask for is like, you know, once it has been advertised by a company, they should not claim something. Like, we are running a vitiligo clinic, that's all they can should be. That we will be curing vitiligo, our results are 80%. solicitors are there.
हाँ,
All
ये
those
ये
things
बात
are
बोल
there.
रहे
I think there are laws for this already.
You see, I have 20 business, whereas 18 people do very well. I cannot
Same
show those
color.
pictures.
Yeah, see, these are the things you discuss, don't discuss.
That,
Yes,
exactly.
this is
So
exactly what.
basically the law anyway tells you that the doctors individually cannot. So
Cannot.
I am really doubtful about how much we will be able to tackle these people. We can
So
of course
basically, we
say
can
that.
say that we should have a guideline on how a disease and a treatment
Can be
should be
advertised.
advertised. Like a treatment to a particular
Yes,
disease.
exactly.
of treatment.
You know, psychologists
There
are
should be
claiming
there
that
should be some
30%
control.
hair has come. No, no.
The
I
before
can
and
treat
the after.
the hair.
You get the split of before
They
and
cannot
after.
mention testimonies or
Testimonies,
But
there should not be any
now
mistake.
there is a
No
second,
celebrity should be on the paper.
so there should be second angle to it. There are these services like Just Dial.
Online.
They are supposed to display your names as a service to the community.
Yes.
I got a phone call from Just Dial and I get every month that 2,000 people inquired about your name for banner clinic, 3,000 for banner clinic. As a courtesy, we give them free, and your address has been free. But in future, we expect to pay for all these phone calls. I said, why? He said, because otherwise we'll guide them to somebody else and not you.
I think
So how do we regulate them?
I think allowing a doctor to have his online presence or website should not be taken as advertising.
Yes.
Because it is just that people in this vicinity
No, but-
should know who is the qualified
Yeah,
doctor.
I come to that point.
How to
it
control
should
these
be allowed.
arm twisting tactics of these so-called Just Dial and all
No,
that?
we
Service to
can't.
community.
We can't stop them.
No, but they demand money 10,000 as and not
You
getting
need
to
money.
you.
can't stop them. See,
But you
Dr.
can't stop them.
Rajan, you can't stop them, mat bolo.
Yes.
It
You
can
can.
be done, it can be done.
This
So,
is-
it's
I-
like,
so-
for
So
example,
let us have a
No,
legal
for
ways of
example,
advertising.
Just Dial, the topmost dermatology is homeopathy. Topmost dermatology.
Yeah.
We can always stop
No,
them.
that once the definition and the implementation comes in.
Maybe this Just Dial, they have something for you pay a premium.
Yes.
And you are
We
billing
should
them.
first.
Yeah.
Every year you will get
So
12,000.
that's what that is.
So if the Just Dial, one second, if Just Dial was working with the dermatologist, they are advertising for dermatology, it should be a dermatologist, it should not be from the.
So again, the definition
definition
and
would
so again the
clear
definition.
it up.
Definition
Yeah.
clear.
No, the
Yes.
Batra's name is in dermatology.
Yes.
That should be removed.
Yes.
His name is in
वो remove करके ना बात करो.
So,
Exactly, the definition, the moment we
So
any
come out with a
directory-
good definition, they will be eliminated.
So you are
Basically, you're
So
saying
any-
that this promotional
Dermatology.
advertising should not be.
Dermatology.
No,
Like you should not be able to promote like.
So
No, what we are telling today is that dermatologist does not mean allopathic dermatologist. It can be homeopathic dermatologist.
No. How?
How?
नहीं, नहीं,
How?
Dermatologist
क्या बात
means
नहीं, नहीं,
what
नहीं.
it means.
अरे there are no
Saying,
dermatology.
no, no, no.
No, I am not telling that way. We have a degree of MD and DBD.
No, no.
Dermatology means any skin specialist can be a
No.
dermatologist.
No, no, no,
So
no.
who is the
Then they are going back.
which are the subject?
They are going backward. They are going backward.
Tomorrow, DHMS, people are one dermatology, one airport.
But we are defining
See,
it.
that is there in Bharatiya Vidyapit. I am telling you, Bharatiya Vidyapit, Mumbai has dermatology in Ayurveda.
Patil College.
No, they got surgery also.
But that is some
But that is qualification.
No, but we are not. That is the law. But the law is coming for that.
Homeopathy medicines only.
हृदय या विकारा कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं लिख सकता है
नहीं, नहीं,
कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट सीधा
नहीं, but they practice Ayurveda medicine for dermatology, ऐसा.
No, but then there has to be a dermatologist. We say that
It comes down to definition again.
Yes.
When you
exactly.
are talking about
Definition has to be
dermatology,
very strong.
the word has to be very clear, no clear cut, no gray area.
MD, DVT का तो होना मांगता है,
Allopathy,
DVT.
allopathy
Sir,
doctors
MCI
will be called
recognized degree in
dermatologists.
dermatology, which is MD dermatology or DVT dermatology,
Bas.
right?
That's a dermatologist.
It's an MCI recognized degree.
So coming back to that online
Online case.
listing without our knowledge also happens. Many times we are listed without our knowledge. One site lists you, that list is copied by another site. So we are all listed on multiple sites, none of which we have either contributed or even sent the details. Maybe so
If
then
you pay, then you are.
no. So that's what. So there should be a clear law on
Regulation of online registration.
yes registration.
It should be allowed now.
And it should be allowed
It should be allowed now.
because it's
There
a
should be some protocol for online registration.
Yes, correct, that's
You
right.
cannot be money
Yeah, that's
based
right.
on, there is a service where you pay a premium and your name will be Madras or Chennai, there was some
Chennai,
case,
Chennai.
Right, so
they have taken him to court. So I don't know what is the judgment, but it is in
Somebody
court.
had it on smart, live.
The association took the online registration portal to court.
They do not have anything to declare conflict of interest or anything like we have.
No, no, the web,
I mean, like you
This is a
said.
website. no?
Website doesn't
Website
have
is
to
a
be-
very.
the portal should
Online is
verify the,
unregulated.
verify the
this is
qualification.
something like this,
Even in
they
Mumbai,
find
if
money.
you pay a premium, your name will be in the top. They tell you.
Or otherwise they'll add bad reviews to that.
That is
They will give you good reviews, their own
reviews and
reviews.
bad reviews.
That is also there, their own reviews.
They took the reviews because everybody is right.
But
Everybody is
this is,
unhappy or unhappy.
This is there, it is
So but
there.
then who is supposed to regulate
No,
that?
no, that online thing is a very grey area
No,
as of now.
that can be-
Internet is a grey area right now.
No, sir,
This
as
is
sir
part of
rightly pointed
Google
out,
search
even
engine
I'll give an
optimization.
example what is there for
Google is
lawyers now.
Yeah, that's
Google has got its money.
The Bar Council of India,
Google has
Bar
got
Council of
its
India
money.
Take minutes, sir. Sir,
so basically what sir has initially suggested for this online thing, that a doctor should be allowed to put only particular things on his website or on any website.
Yes.
Those should be minimum, basically what the doctor specializes. And it should be basically informative rather than being an advertisement. I think something of that sort has been done for lawyers by the Bar Council. Bar Council of India has prescribed that a lawyer can host a website, but that website should only have his name, address, phone number, contact details, and at max what areas he practices. You cannot write that I did some Shah Bano's case where triple
Yes.
talaq was
No,
challenged.
no,
You
but-
should not be doing that.
And doctors, for example, they show patients pictures before and after.
No,
Should it be
that-
allowed?
no.
Yeah, that shouldn't be allowed. Only the
Secondly,
what are the
information should be
facilities
given.
offered?
Testimonials from VIP patients, they write, I went to so place, I'm so happy and all that. Testimonials.
So basically,
Websites.
So it should
these-
be allowed but
Basically,
regulated.
it would be the degree, it would be the contact details and the services available. I
Available.
think that is what should be allowed.
Services available.
IFC regulation, code of ethics,
Doesn't allow.
ethically conduct this rule 2002 is very clear. You can give your name, you can give your area of specialization, you can give your address and the services offered, not the word beyond that.
That is basic.
Maximum you can advertise more is a change of address if any. Beyond that it is illegal.
Pictures
What
of-
you see outside the railway station is illegal. The nursing home providing so many, no, you cannot do
Your
that.
pictures of clinic, pictures of the clinic.
That is
Like
extending to the boundaries. But this is
Services
the only.
offered can be so extensive, nail surgery, this surgery.
Hey, that is
that
okay, I
surgery.
think.
So many.
Hey, so long as it
That
is
is the
within the
important-
ambit of the law.
See, if it is the information,
Yes.
if you see that
Yeah.
nail surgery if I do,
Nothing
if I
wrong.
do this, there is nothing wrong.
The services
advertisement is
offered, the
something
word is the
different.
services offered by a particular place can
Can
be.
be mentioned.
Beyond that, no.
Advertisement is something different where there are receipts.
How come this rule does not apply to Dr. Batra's clinic?
No, he is not
Batra is
under
not a
NCI.
doctor.
And even a company.
This is the
private
IMC,
limited.
this is the IMC code of conduct 2002. This is the IMC code of conduct which the.
We should do
These
homeopathy.
homeopathic
This is a
councils are not
homeopath.
practicing.
This is a homeopath.
Homeopathic council does not.
Homeopaths are
No,
not-
there are no
they
councils.
not allowed.
That is not.
So they are by the
That is a matter.
There, for should normal MBBS doctor.
That is the media.
MCI cannot know.
That
MCI takes action on the people who are there in there.
That means cracks are free and India.
No, they are regulated by Ayush. So any
See,
complaint
they are not registered.
against
They are not
doctor,
registered.
they go to Ayush and complain.
There is a homeopathy.
Because they have a
It's
homeopathy.
there.
It's there.
Homeopathic
Nursing
council
council
is there.
has a
But
homeopathic
the ministry which governs them is Ayush.
There is.
But now Maharashtra Medical Council has got Ayurvedic as the chief.
I think let's not discuss that.
No, no,
Because another
they are talking
provides-
about medical council, so that is the state of,
That is a matter of discussion on another topic.
yeah.
So
But
that
it
is
is there, but
We
it
meet
is there,
another day.
it is there, but it is there, you know. Medical council is headed by a Ayurvedic
That
person.
whole new this thing is a big chapter by itself.
There are a few topics I think which discussion will never end and.
Yeah, there are no.
Just one or two relevant things now.
Yeah.
Dermatologists, we speak.
Yes,
We
dermatologist.
basically-
As dermatologists, all of us, we get photographs on, patients' clinical photographs on WhatsApp. And when we have seen a patient who's an NRI, afterwards from there they keep on sending images and they want a follow-up. So yes, e-consultation legal or illegal?
Online.
Online consultation.
Sir, I
Consultation
think
is
still e-consultation is a grey area.
no, if it is
No, I
So
think
let us,
should,
so let us
it's
regulate.
a very good,
Let
it's a
us
very
put
valid
that.
point, everyone is
very
doing
important
this.
because first consultation, e-consultation or follow-up surgery because you see the patient has gone out of the country and they want to send images and do a follow-up.
So I think the follow-up would be a bit different and then consultation first time is a bit different.
So I want to know because this is very
No, no,
important, it affects all of us.
Then the first point here is a law is going to be a judgment. You have a court judgment, then it becomes a law. Today, if any follow-up consultations are there, you mentioned e-consultation. It is a grey area. There is nothing in a court of law. Physical examination and e-consultation are two different things. A photo picture may be totally different from a physical examination. Tomorrow somebody files a case for negligence and the court decides this is not going to happen, then it becomes a law. Today it is not a law. Video consent is not a law, but people do it. One day it may be a judgment and it will be the law. Once the court decides it's the law. So e-consultation is a grey area, so we should take it.
Can there be a law without the court?
Because skin conditions are going to be physical examination. You have to see it with your eyes, the photography may not be.
Can there be a law without the court?
Can be done. There should be somewhat regulation or somewhat guidelines so that it can be done to an extent, because if a person only has to show that okay, you gave me a medicine, it has improved.
Yes.
So at least some part of it should be allowed because it saves the time of the doctor as well as the patient who's not even in country
I
at
would
times.
suggest, as you say, that there is no law still.
So there should be.
Once you have seen first consultation, follow-up, I think,
Yes,
should
should
not
be
be a problem.
permitted.
Follow-up should not be.
With a disclaimer probably at the
Probably
end.
it should
Please
be a
consult your local
doctor-patient
doctor before
relationship.
following this.
It falls under doctor-patient relationship.
Well, there should be regulation like doctors cannot, for instance, prescribe life-saving drugs on
Some
WhatsApp.
toxic drugs.
Some toxic drugs.
Supposing I give an advice to a relative or a friend, I don't charge and some side effect happens out of the e-consultation, how liable I am?
You are
Yes,
liable.
you are liable.
You should also- I know, but I just wanted
Recently that is
I want to hear from an advocate, that's
No, it's a
from an
and
expert.
these guys take it to another level to fight out cases against the relatives. So basically, it is more dangerous to advise a relative on
Relatives and
these
neighbors
aspects.
better you do.
Yesterday's one
So,
small
or
incident I'll
as a policy, tell them we don't do it.
Or sir, whatever is
Sir,
the-
yes, sir.
Yesterday, one small incident one of the dermatologists has said. On WhatsApp, the picture was sent, and the dermatologist insisted, and the allegation was there that you have taken the medicine and have got this much complications. But so fortunately for the doctor, she insisted that you come here and I want to see, and the patient had nothing.
Yeah, so this can
So,
happen.
if they would have accepted and prescribed, I think she would have.
It is there in WhatsApp. Another one has advised and telephoned something, and the patient died. It has become an issue. It has come in our academic group, I think.
So basically,
These are all
telemedicine and
new instruments again.
But
New
this, I think,
technology,
not
new
only related to
technologies.
dermatology, if we ban this totally, rural areas will have a problem
Yes.
because telemedicine,
Yes.
see, if
Yeah,
there is a
telemedicine
GP
is
sitting over
recognized.
there and he wants an opinion on a skin condition,
That's different.
he sends,
That's
that
different.
is- but if
Patient
they
doctor,
ban in
doctor,
entirety,
different.
then it will become an,
No,
and it will serve as an,
Ma'am, there
not
are-
from dermatologist point of view, I am talking in general.
An
So
extension
there are
of
two parts to it. As Ma'am said, it is basically a doctor consulting a doctor
Is
is
different.
very much different as per rightly pointed out.
So it should not be a blanket thing when we are
But
looking
there
for
should
the
be some
whole
method
point.
to
there
this.
could be a situation where patient comes.
I'll just quote
Sir.
this thing. There was a case of a snake bite in National Commission and there was a case of snake bite in Kerala State Commission. Kerala State Commission, they used 14 vials of ASVs. Both places patient died. National Commission, they used 4 vials of ASV. Both the patient died. And both the patient's relatives filed for negligence. The National Commission fellow filed for negligence stating he was undertreated. The Kerala Commission fellow treated, they were over-treated. But the court passed a judgment that since there was no protocol at that time, now we have got a protocol, there was no protocol at that time, so then the doctor's clinical judgment will take priority over. But if there is a protocol in place, then that protocol is what is going to be followed by every doctor. Till that time, like you said, the telemedicine, it is a new field. There is no protocol. So your clinical judgment will count for that. But if there is a protocol tomorrow on telemedicine or any other e-consultation, then that will take priority over.
Another extension of that.
Doctor to doctor things are concerned.
Another-
Talking on WhatsApp and other things.
No, that's.
The second doctor is probably liable or not, that is the question. Not at me. I have asked opinion of Dr. Saple. When Dr. Saple gives the opinion and something happens to my patient, he is not liable. I can take an opinion of his, whether I take it on
Sir, you
telephone,
can follow
WhatsApp, or anywhere.
Even if you take a consult, you will not be because if you are gone by what is the treatment protocol, I don't think you will also be liable.
You will stop
No,
advising.
if something happens wrong and something comes on me, I cannot say, Dr. Saple said
But
me and I
you will not, you
No,
will also
but
not be held
You
liable.
will be held liable because you are the captain of the ship.
Yeah,
The patient
exactly.
is your
So
patient
the
and you will
question
only.
is not taking opinion of this thing is very important.
An extension
Both
of
of them
that.
agree on that, you will be liable.
An
Yes,
extension
I will be liable.
of that telemedicine query.
Yes.
Patient comes to me, I write a prescription, and I write a drug which can be given only after verifying a report. G6PD deficiency, for example, and I want to start Dapsone. And I tell the patient, I am writing this, but you show me the report tomorrow. No, the patient is coming from some remote place, cannot come back tomorrow just to show the report. So the report is emailed to me, and then having seen the report, I am telling him, okay, now take this drug. So that again is an area where
No, I
it should
think
be
that is
open.
why we agree that there should be some regulations.
Yes, yes.
To, if that regulations are there,
Seeing the report is
definitely
actually
these
safe.
regulations are
That's it.
formed.
There is no
Seeing the report
I
and then
can write
recommending
the
a drug.
prescription
Email,
properly on
letters
that
are
particular
accepted.
part where there are problems.
They are accepted.
Accepted.
If
After
if
seeing,
you have done it, there are two things I thought which are relevant for us. One is that I see a lot of patients who come to me who have seen yes, I can start, then medicines are given from the clinic at a cost. Dispensing of medicines, some of those are labeled, some are not labeled, some jars are brought without any label on it and patients have paid 500 per jar, or some which are labeled. So what is the law, what does the law say? Do you need any licenses to dispense? Are you only supposed to prescribe? Because a lot of dermatologists are giving medicines, some of those with no ingredients mentioned. So there's a reaction, I don't know what caused the reaction.
So basically, these are anyways illegal.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
this
yeah.
kind of sale is anyways illegal because for selling of medicines you need to have a degree in pharma, proper MD pharma.
But if I-
No,
GPs used to give medicines, so even that was illegal?
It is not selling.
Yeah, okay.
When we do it, it is not a selling. It is what we are prescribing something and giving. It is not dispensing.
to your own
Yeah,
patient,
dispensing.
then there is no harm, you can give it.
Yeah,
Dispensing is not a problem. Selling is a problem.
You cannot store
You have to reveal the contents.
Okay.
beyond a
You have to
certain
reveal the contents.
Sometimes we, I mean, simple things like
No,
KFH for
it
application for molasses.
didn't even have the ingredient. That becomes
You
per
know,
se
a
illegal.
lot of people do it.
That is saying that they give you
Unlabeled jar.
medicine,
Unlabeled.
With a cream.
unlabeled jar, it doesn't
That is
even
not
specify what medicine it is.
That is illegal.
That is anyways illegal.
Illegal.
But once you give labeled, I was told that the cosmetics you can give without any license, otherwise you need some license, like you said, for drugs.
No, if you're using it for sale,
No,
general sale,
No, for your patient.
your patient should get.
No, no, but you're selling it,
Without
you're
any
selling it.
without any license from
Yes,
drug.
You're selling it, yes.
You can
Yes,
make
not
it
for selling, it is
and
dispensing.
No, no, but supposing
It
you
should
are
come out.
dispensing, you are
But
need license from
that's
drug
another law, I
control.
think.
For my patient.
No, but why would you?
Service tax and sales tax.
Sales tax,
Because
if
the
it crosses a
part
certain
that is
amount.
going to identify it from there. There are people who do it.
So much.
Yeah, that's not good.
That is service tax.
They are giving cosmeceuticals. Because it's a good product. I have seen people carrying cosmeceuticals being given by a doctor.
Yes, yes. For us, people don't decide. There is no question of it not doing it.
No, no, question is the label or
Where the
So
question
label
comes there.
medication according to you can be given. Yes.
Yes. But you cannot store it beyond a certain limit. There is a
And the
kind of,
quantity also
you
is.
cannot be a stockist of a certain medicine.
Say, if you have written on your prescription
Dispensing does
50
not
days,
mean
you cannot
you
take it more
I
than
think
50
You
days.
cannot store 1 ton. There have been doctors who have been caught with excess of
For me
medicine.
is,
One lakh is for
They were arrested also. But the
You can
because
store
the
for
stocks
20
were
days.
very high.
At any time.
You there are certain cutoffs. I am not presently aware of what is the cutoff.
That is a.
But you can
One lakh, sir.
store medicine. That is dispensing you are allowed. But a known medicine. But Beyond a certain level, then you become a stockist. That is not allowed.
Because they come and tell me you are
After 20
writing.
days stop, you can keep it.
I tell my medical rep, your product is not available, he saying you should keep in your clinic and so and so doctors kept and we give schemes. So that's why I want to be, because when I write and patients tell for me it's not available, I tell them you come and promote and the product is not available. They're saying but your colleagues who practice, they keep in their clinic, they give from there, you make money.
I think one of our colleagues, Dr. Timbani, had faced this, because he is the most experienced.
but he did not
No,
face
no, no.
this kind of
One
legal
second,
problem.
let me finish. So, he faced this problem because he is open about it. He only spoke at these things. He said that certain amount of medicines only allowed. Beyond that, as he says, beyond that is not allowed. That's why he told.
No, the question Timbaya has was a weight and Caltex problem, and not a question of storing. But then they said, that you cannot store more than 1 lakh rupee product or 2 lakh rupee
Something
product
like
or
that.
something
But
like
that is
that.
also
Same
the
thing as a
tax
stock.
But it was not a
So
legal
different
court
department.
action.
That
It was
means,
that.
that means it is not illegal, but only after certain amount.
You are allowed to dispense. There is no question you are not
But
allowed
it
to
should be
dispense.
labeled, as you said, it
For
should
your
not be
own patients,
unlabeled.
not for others.
See, even if GP prescribe, give a pudi, something, they are allowed to dispense without this thing, but he should have a written record. You should have a proper record for this.
So you
And whenever
should be
needed,
labeled and
see, this is another thing. I have asked the general practitioner, he said whenever it is needed, you should be able to repeat it.
Yeah.
Sale tax license or something.
For drugs you have sales tax and for others you VAT.
VAT and
Both these should be
excise,
just-
whatever, all these licenses, if you are
Yes,
complying, one should be able to sell. That's not a problem. But you should be complying with the other law apart from.
Supposing after 33 years, there's one more point. Supposing after 33 years of practice, I am a bit busy. So in the evening, I'm put my time as 6 to 9. But those who registered the 9, I managed to see them till by 10:30, 11. Because the clinic is open, somebody walks in. I have to go somewhere. So my staff tells them that doctor's time is over, but his clinic is open, he cannot say no to me. So I went and explained to them politely that I have to go somewhere and I have worked for 12 hours and my mind does not work. No. You must see me. How dare you say you cannot see me? Clinic is open. I have a right to show and walk in whatever time the clinic is open. So what is your standing?
You have a right to choose your patient.
But it was a very unpleasant situation happened in my clinic once. At 11:15 I was winding up and somebody walked in. He said, you don't know what you were talking to. I said, I know one thing, I'm talking to somebody who does not know courtesy. But I have right to say no to you because my time is displayed 6 to 9. But your clinic is open, you cannot say no to me. I have come from all the way from Andheri.
There is only an exception to this, sir, if it is
Emergency.
No, routine work. Routine work.
You can refuse a regular patient, routine patient, it's allowed by law.
So
Only time you cannot refuse is an emergency.
correct. So I had a now a CCTV. So can I report these people to police? So they threatened me. Said you come down and take
The Maharashtra state
some
medical.
minority community person. He said come down and see how you leave.
Who becomes sensitive?
He said you don't know who you are talking to. You don't know my corrections.
That is a different issue.
Yeah.
The Doctors
That's
Protection
law
Act
and order.
2010.
You can complain.
Doctors Protection Act 2010 is very clear on this. Even a threat or even an action of a threat can cause the person to be arrested. It is a cognizable offence.
Because the person was waiting down in the car, looking at me
That is-
threatening me.
That is a law.
That is law and order.
There is a law and order. And the law favors you. The law favors you.
Without appointment, he walks in.
The law favors you.
Sir, if you put up a signboard by appointment only, no emergencies attend, I think nobody can.
The emergency.
Anybody has to
It is a
Even emergency, whatever you write down.
Medical emergency you have to.
There are two
we
devices.
said it is emergency for the patient.
Not like that.
No.
Medical
It has to be
emergency.
medical emergency.
Medical emergency, not that.
So in a clinic setup, we don't have anything to do.
We don't have. Somebody collapsed.
Cannot agree.
Somebody collapsed.
Because services for the next day available.
Now we are digressing from our topic. We are going to the topic of emergency. We should come back to
Dermatology is
I have heard how the law protects me.
So
It is an emergency.
Laws are very clear.
कब से है 4 महीने से
Where is the
I guess if there is any other suggestion, any
everybody, I can give 2 examples of people who walked in the doctor's clinic. Once they entered the cabin, they took out guns, they robbed the doctor,
Yes.
and they shut the door of the waiting room. They robbed all the patients in the waiting room also, and they went away.
आगरा आगरा
This happened to a neurophysician in Malad, and this happened to one general practitioner in Goregaon.
Oh, but this is altogether a different jurisdiction, right?
So,
that
was different.
But I think we should just ask for some other suggestions, any other concerns which you guys might have.
Yeah.
Or we should just
We
summarize
have
it.
a lot of self-therapy is being advertised, and I know that a lot of doctors are doing it also, in fact dermatologists. So I want to know, because there is no validity anywhere, there is no scientific basis to the so-called stem cell therapy.
No, we already agreed that there should be a regulation on this advertisement.
No.
That's
Certain treatments.
Because again, this so-called trichologists are promoting this. Not only that, there was again an
But there are
article on the front page.
dermatologists who are doing this.
Yeah. Front page of, and in that the dermatologist name was also there, if I'm not mistaken.
Some
In the
of
front
them
page
do
of
not
Times
use
of India,
stem
this was
cells.
there,
They
stem
write
cell
stem cell
therapy
and they
in
use something else.
alopecias, in hair loss, which have no really not much of evidence-based
There
medicine.
are many other things. If you are talking about stem cell therapy, one is even platelet-rich plasma does not have a very solid evidence. People pay a lot of money. You have ads by people who say, what is that?
Vampire,
No. Yeah.
Vampire facial.
Low intensity laser on the scalp for hair promoting hair growth.
Topi pe now.
With no evidence in favor of it in any journal, any textbooks, but that's what gets money for people.
that is not an accepted practice, so it will never stand in a court of law.
So if
That law is very clear on that.
the problem is
See,
it does not
fortunately-
reach the court of law and
Just
goes
one
on.
day
People
it
are
does
getting
cannot-
fleeced of their money
One day it does.
and no effects. No, the second thing is that a lot of these devices, etc., they are claiming FDA approval. But if you look into it, you will find FDA approval is not given for the efficacy of the
For
device,
safety.
it is given for the safety
It's
of
only
the
for safety
device.
FDA approval. In lasers it is only for
Hair
safety,
laser.
not for efficacy.
Hair laser, especially hair laser.
No,
That
but sir,
exactly
we
was
already-
the initiative, you know. We are talking about always a drug. There are new machines, new
That is a
technology.
regulation of this,
We have to
whatever,
have a
this adds to that point which you had mentioned first, the medications and the instruments devices also.
That has to be added.
So what about glutathione? In one of
Again,
the
not-
conferences, one of the stall fellows, he chased me around that whole stall area telling me, I need mera glutathione, le lo
But
mera
no,
But it's not-
but people speak from the podium, the qualified dermatologists, that this is a protocol we want and I am getting very good results. People speak as dermatologists from the podium.
What can you do?
जर्नल में आया है ना
No, purchasing
वो
is
जर्नल
like,
dermatology journal
it is like,
If it does not mention, it does not stand in a court of law. Authoritative text.
see,
is
whatever
not-
people
not a
claim, that
journal.
is very different. That is illegal thing.
अब
It
पता
has
नहीं
not
कभी
come
मिलता है पुरुषों मिलता है पता नहीं किसी Who is going to check this? पता नहीं
Planning is very easy.
I don't know any
Okay, sir, so we sum it up. We have any other suggestions, any other suggestions?
Yeah. Now next
No, I
one.
think we'll sum up the entire thing. We are through basically, these were the,
We have to-
yes.
Sir, on behalf, last time on 31st July, there were certain points which were discussed by the
Guidelines.
panel of the doctors, 31st July, when we had met. Can I narrate the points which
Yes,
has
yes,
not been
yes,
discussed?
yes.
Because I had noted at that time,
Yes, yeah, yeah.
when I had summarized. One was the point, public hospitals HOD
No,
responsibility.
sir, we have a different topics here because this is, there is a public hospital section which is discussing that.
So that point is going to.
That would be a
point is
general
okay.
point.
Second was on the generic name prescriptions, because doctors have that, there are a lot of doctors from the hospitals, government hospitals,
Okay.
and they say that generic drugs is a problem so many times.
No, it may be even for all of us because
Then
somewhere
a
there is a
common
trend
problem
that we are
that will be
supposed to
discussed.
prescribe only generics and not brand names. So it may be applicable someday to all of us if some
Yes,
such
it
kind
is
of.
going to come
It's
and
not a
I just-
specific problem of
I
dermatology.
just quote one study in antifungal resistance. There is a study on 3 cases. So where HIV positive patients were being given for systemic fungal infection have branded itraconazole, and when it was not covered by the insurance, because patient could not afford, they shifted in USA where the generic standards are better to generic version of itraconazole, and these 3 patients refused, stopped improving, and when they did the blood levels had dropped by 60% of what the branded molecule gave, and one of the patients because of low level developed resistance to the molecule, and in future he did not respond to even the branded version. It caused their resistance. This is a published article.
A common problem
Sir, this is happening to
Yeah.
fungal infection.
Anything else you want to?
Last step. That was discussed because now in dermatology, cosmetology, aesthetics, etc. getting a lot of new procedures and new medicines are coming. So suppose a doctor is trying, then setting an SOP, at the moment it can be done only by MCI, whatever the guidelines are given. Then empowering the associations
That we talked
for
about.
developing that much and that getting accepted into
No,
MCI.
sir,
That
I
we
think,
talked about.
That was
I
the
think
point.
that is what we are doing here. All these suggestions will go to the MCI and we'll see, we'll make sure that
The
something happens.
guidelines we mentioned,
Guidelines
the
we
guidelines
mentioned.
provided by the association should serve as cornerstone of our.
Yeah.
And there should be something, there's a definition for what is off-label. Because I did a session on pediatric dermatology, lady spoke on psoriasis in infants. She said if she went by the approved drugs, she would send 99% patients back because there's nothing approved for pediatric age group. No trials are allowed to be conducted. So there's something called off-label. She said you should know what is off-label, definition of off-label, and this is how you can safely use. Otherwise you will not treat anybody. That means pediatricians will be without any prescriptions.
That
It's
also was
about
one of the
new
points.
thing.
Off-level
First thing, tinea, now we see in 1 year, 2 years, 6 months child also. Where there are no drugs. They were never been tried. Rithobalvin was never tried in 6 months of child. If somebody writes, what will be?
I
Although
think there is no
antihistaminics are
national
not permitted in
guidelines
for 6
which
months
should
in
take
US.
support of the
They
international.
don't use
guidelines.
antihistaminics, they are not supposed to.
They are not.
That's
And all antihistaminic says, you know, not, there are no
We all use
antihistaminics
it
before
and
6
Now I'm
months.
studying on this
Age
anti-fungal.
of 6 months.
A European guy would require 200 mg and an Indian would require 100 mg.
Weight-wise.
So
Correct.
weight-wise and specific.
But they have given 1 milligram per
Given it
kg
is a
body weight.
milligram per kg body weight. So
Milligram per kg
always
weight
calculate.
देते हैं but
But this should be, his suggestion is very nice, that wherever we don't have any guidelines here, we should follow international guidelines.
Or at least the MCI or government should say that at least on these points, till we make the guidelines,
Yes.
these would be
yes, correct.
treated as.
Whatever the guidelines are available, we should take
Yes.
support of those.
So alternative guidelines which are recognized.
When all new drugs comes, most of the studies are done
Abroad.
in the research countries more than the.
We tend to believe it more also.
Pardon?
Instead of our trials.
Not tend to believe अपन करता ही नहीं इधर research, किधर research करता है? वो खाली copy करते हैं अपन.
But that is the truth of it.
Pardon?
It is the truth.
तो गाइडलाइन क्यों नहीं तुम लेते? बाकी का तुम कॉपी करते हो, ये क्यों नहीं करते? WHO भी वही करता है, WHO ये अपना भी लोग
हम
वही
लोग
करते
एचआई में
हैं.
वही करते थे.
वही करते हैं.
अभी तक वही करते थे.
So accept it, no?
Yes, yes.
Fine, sir. So I
I'm
think
not
we have
at all
covered
against.
most of it. Anything else which you want?
So
No,
I think
because most of the points which I heard,
summarize.
Yeah.
they were discussed in 31st July also and few things got added today.
No, anything is remaining.
नहीं अभी वो जो सारा मतलब लगभग मैं एक बार रिपीट करता हूँ बट आपको लगेगा मोस्टली कवर हो गया सर जो लास्ट टाइम
Something very specific is diagnostic. Diagnostic test in dermatology. Now, how many tests we are up to what level? Considering
No,
your
that will be more of a medical question.
That was
when-
part of guidelines only, no sir, when we, guidelines for any
disease.
management of any disease will include
Management.
diagnosis as well as
So we should sum up
treatment.
now.
Not only drug, not only machine.
Because
The
this
diagnostic
suggestion
part
is
of
more of a
guidelines.
medical question on
Really, but
competency of a
really,
doctor and
it is like this,
basically.
when you have a disease, there is a certain algorithm of investigation, which is textbook. You have that disease, you have an algorithm. If you follow the algorithm, it is, I think.
Today we have discussed off-label, not what
No,
is
but
given.
basically which we say is off-label medicines by we have discussed it is because
It has to be.
there has to be some method, because one medicine which is prescribed for a particular disease also treats something else. So there should be a regulation which we agree that these are normally in normal course prescribed by doctors for treatment of other diseases. So there should be a regulation to this, so that in case tomorrow there is a case which is filed, so doctors should have some protection to that, because whatever he has done it in a good faith. So
So these
basically,
off-label drugs also
yeah.
are mentioned in the textbooks.
Not
Yeah,
all.
these are-
Yes.
Quite a good number.
Marketing gives it that way, no sir, FDA approved and off-label.
Yes.
Dr.
Gives it that way.
Barmon,
Yes, sir.
see, I was discussing with the international people with this guideline treatment for urticaria.
Article.
Internationally, there is no Dapsone in the urticaria guideline. Dapsone is not
It
included.
is removed now,
So-
in the 2015.
Yeah,
it's-
so I just
earlier
was
it was
talking
there.
with them, why you have not included Dapsone is one of the good drugs in vasculitis, arterial vasculitis is very good drug. Why you have not included? They said, not only drug, there is no safety study. I said, what safety you want? It is used in India and the human being in 1,000 years. What safety you want?
You are not written and published.
Pardon? No.
If you are written and published, it
Right,
would have been
What
accepted.
published? India में तो इतना Dapsone are using for the
Dapsone
leprosy.
are
How
used
can
for
publish?
this is
for
medical
India.
problem.
Many
Yeah,
fatalities of
You know,
Dapsone.
oh,
So we are seeing
Fatalities, you know.
fatalities of Dapsone.
pardon?
We are seeing
There are
fatalities of Dapsone. The only indication is in urticarial vasculitis,
Yes.
which is neutrophil mediated. It is not a drug for urticaria.
Pardon?
It is not a drug for
So what I
urticaria.
said, vasculitis only I said no.
But it is urticarial vasculitis. It is not urticaria.
But the same thing I said no.
But they say there they don't use it at all.
They
But
don't
he
take
wants
in
to
the
even
guidelines.
vasculitis
What
they
I am
don't
saying,
use
they
it.
are not taken in the
But that is
guidelines.
for arterial guidelines, not
Yeah.
arterial vasculitis. She is talking about arterial
Pardon?
vasculitis. She is talking about arterial
But
vasculitis.
arterial vasculitis is not a part of our.
Wait, why USA
It's a
mandate?
reflection of urticaritis.
But diabetes.
This is the problem of gray areas.
So they said there is
Whether
no
we can-
study. There is no documented studies. That's why you are not included in this.
Because they follow very strict guidelines of level of evidence.
Yeah, another thing is like, there are so many drugs which are new,
It's a very old.
maybe people have tried, it is given. There are many controversies and contradictory reports. Say, methotrexate in something, XYZ disease. Some people may say that it is useful, some people may say that it is not useful. There are reports.
Anecdotal, let's call anecdotal.
Yeah, there are.
But that is from India, we only have anecdotal. People always say my experience. They don't document. They just keep on saying my is very
That,
important.
The dermatologists write 90% of the medicine they are off-label.
no,
Dermatologists.
I am trying to say,
But like you said, if I
how
sum it up,
liable I am for a case.
if I sum up, medical science is incomplete science. That's why there is research happening all the time.
Yeah.
But we should know the current truth.
Yeah.
We should know the current truth. That's all.
I think I'll go beyond that. All
Doctors
sciences
always
are
practice, they never perform.
Like Teleni, all sciences are incomplete and then in the developing stage. All is in development.
But I am talking about what is relevant for me. So should know the current truth. Which
So
keeps
we
changing.
should,
But current trend is not given in the.
so whatever you should do, you should have a backup of reports or some evidence.
I think we should take him now.
Yeah, I think.
Comes down to the textbook.
Sum it up whatever we have discussed, because these will be in the form of recommendations which will be going to the NCI. The report goes every year. Last year it started. So basically from the start I'll sum up. It's first of all an SOP. There should be a standard SOP which is prescribed by the medical council or the government. That should be quite exhaustive. And as sir suggested, it should be updated periodically, because every 6 months, every 1 year there is a new drug which comes in. So there has to be a particular timeline when these SOPs should be reviewed. Then there
Not
should
by
be
MCI.
Not
Yeah,
by
association.
MCI.
Has to be the
It should be
association.
by the
By
association.
And you brought something like an alternative
By the
guidelines should be
association
allowed.
Endorsed
Alternative
by
guidelines.
MCI.
It is not.
and till there is a new
Guidelines are-
till there is if there is a new medicine, till there is something else
Guidelines
specifically
are
guidelines prescribed.
specified.
So in the intermediate there should be some other guidelines which from where the drug originates basically. So at least the doctor knows what to follow, rather than being in a grey area of even the doctor not knowing whether what guidelines he has to follow.
And the guidelines is specifically mentioned, designed by the association and endorsed by MCS.
Which
So both are
association?
taken
There are
into
10 associations, then recognized association.
recognized association, the
Professional.
recognized association of
That's
dermatologists
special.
and endorsed by MCA.
Good.
Okay, then there is off-label use. Basically, off-label use should also be regulated, and there has to be prescribed standards to it.
That again by the endorsed by first
To
prescribed
avoid
by
the
the
defensive
association
practice
and
by
then
practitioners.
Yeah, absolutely. There should be off-label should be standardized.
So basically, prescribed means everything is whenever MCI itself will not make guidelines, it will
Yes.
definitely take suggestions from.
no, but
the
if you say that, because now I am telling you this Niti Aayog thing coming up, then it will be a problem. There will be more non-doctors sitting over there. That's why I specified that term.
There will be only one doctor, that too he may not be dermatologist.
It will be an Ayurvedic doctor.
Okay, then there was another topic which we agreed was in the combination drugs. These are to be banned basically unless there is some specific.
Especially those containing steroids, irrational combination of drugs. There are many combinations which have already been banned, but these combinations containing topical steroids, irrational combinations containing topical steroids should be banned.
Certain kind of medicines
Steroids.
should not be prescribed
Beyond,
certain
And should
qualification.
prescription be restricted to qualified
And no
dermatologists.
refills.
No refills without valid prescription of the doctors, without valid dated prescriptions of the doctors.
Qualified doctor.
Yeah, qualified doctors.
डर्मेटोलॉजिस्ट बोलेगा तो क्वालिफाइड आ रहे हैं
अभी आयरन का प्ले करें तो बोले आयुर्वेदिक dermatologist.
No, but it is there.
आयुर्वेदिक dermatology दिख रहा है
Degree
होम्योपैथी
Then one more last point in the
It is
first
there.
part of discussion was basically production and sale of cosmetics which contain certain drugs,
active ingredient.
active ingredients.
Active pharmacological ingredient should come under drugs rather than cosmetics.
Should be basically reclassified as drugs.
Drugs.
And they should be sold only with the prescription of
Should
the
be
doctor.
should be properly labeled.
Once they come as drugs, they will go under that law.
Now, ketoconazole is being advertised very solidly and all that.
Tetraconazole.
Ketoconazole. और मोटी मोटी ब्रांड्स है एडवर्टाइजमेंट कहाँ से
Whether the advertisement of these drugs
OTC.
which are actually to be prescribed by a dermatologist. But I think automatically when we say that it is to be by a prescription, the advertisement should be automatically by a
Ketoconazole at 1% becomes an OTC, at 2% it becomes a medicine.
like that.
So that is the group
The
one is the
varying
company.
concentration of the drugs which can possibly give rise to resistance should be banned, and they should not be
No,
allowed
it
as
should be optimal
cosmetics.
doses.
Huh.
Should be manufactured and sold in optimal
Optimal
doses.
doses and should not be
What
prescribed as
is
cosmetics.
any drug which is used for the dermatological use should not be given without prescription.
That he has already mentioned.
So sir, in that case, Fair and Lovely will be banned. It has a sunscreen in it.
Well,
It contains some demyelinizing.
But sunscreen is not a drug.
Hydroquinone. Hydroquinone.
Fair and Lovely is only got niacinamide, no hydroquinone.
Niacinamide, what
so
is
that
it?
should be there may be a definition of drugs. What is drugs?
I think let them.
Hydroquinone should not be an OTC product.
So if it is ketoconazole is a drug, nobody can advertise.
Second
Yeah.
part will be
1%, 2% वाला है.
No, that is what we say.
No, he is necessary, he is waiting for it.
Yeah, let us summarize.
Yeah, second part which we agreed on certain things was that the qualification should be all defined properly,
Right.
and the qualifications and whatever the criteria are to be qualified
This
properly.
will have to be worded a
Not
little
qualification.
differently.
That
The
that
definition of
terminology.
cosmetology, trichology, and what else, Rajan?
Physiology.
We'll say
Aesthetics
definition of
of-
all the disciplines which come under dermatology. It
The
should be
cosmetics,
properly.
But you
cosmetology,
should make a
trichology,
mention
and
because
aesthetician.
You should make a
Properly
mention of
defined.
each of these terminology.
Yeah. These terms have to be properly defined, and as
Dermatology.
it is part of the curriculum now of the MD, so the dermatologist should be eligible to practice this, but not other doctors, I mean, not other doctors, of course, plastic surgeons practicing, I think that is part of their curriculum, so we don't get into that at all. But other doctors, especially the homeopaths or Ayurvedics, should be totally banned from practicing, which is not there in their curriculum by any stretch of imagination. And those older doctors who have not had this as part of curriculum, they can practice this after adequate training by the respective recognized
cut-off period.
After cut-off rate, yes.
with the cut-off period we mentioned. Because this is part of the curriculum since many years now. So it will be the relatively senior ones who will at all require.
So इसमें best point was that कि India में dermatology is defined different I mean degrees.
Yeah.
वो that unification is a very very good idea.
So should I having delivered talks on chemical peels which was not a part of my curriculum, should I wait for such
So
training?
you are already
No, no.
trained.
Should I
You are
wait
already
for
cut off
training and
period.
then start practice? Should I suspend my practice now?
You are already trained. No, by this definition you are already trained.
Who has trained you? Who has trained you?
He has attended the association.
No, Sheetal.
Huh.
Don't be become individual. Who has trained him?
So we mentioned no sir. We
No,
mentioned.
I'm asking you. Who has trained
So
him?
you have attended adequate workshops conducted by our association.
But EIDV and
So that is what I said.
Madam,
We have done that.
when you pass your MD, your MD was not recognized. After 10 years, it get recognized. Retrospective, it will be all be done automatically.
That is true.
That's because we get, see, what is upgradation? We ourselves do upgradation.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
upgraded.
There is no upgradation. There is nothing. I cannot teach
No,
the
actually
upgrading my
requirement for
explain
the
details.
qualification.
I have to upgrade myself.
Then define the qualification there, no?
Yeah.
It should be either
DDV,
MD or
MD.
NCR recognized qualification which is MD dermatology or DBD
Or
dermatology.
DDV or what
DDV
about
नहीं, DDV नहीं.
what about DMB?
What are
And
DNB?
DMB dermatology, sorry I forgot that.
DMB.
MD dermatology,
So she is
DBD
recognized by
diploma,
NCI.
and DNB dermatology. These
Throughout
three are
the world,
recognized by
throughout the
NCI.
world, it is dermatology only. Throughout the world, it is dermatology.
Sorry?
If you
If
don't
I
do
get
DNB,
the
disqualified.
is another
Not required, leprosy and all.
Dermatology means all,
The situation
throughout
is
the world,
saying
it is there.
DNB and
Taking dermatology.
Yes,
should
In
be
that
like-
venereology should be
NCI
included.
recognized qualification.
What about venereology? That should be part of dermatology.
Yes, degree should be part of it.
The wording has to be
That
correct.
was the only thing what has happened is some universities have the degree as MD dermatology. Some universities have MD dermatology, venereology and nephrology. So the unification of the terms has to be specified by NCR that it should be MD dermatology, venereology and
Across
nephrology.
India.
I was
Yeah.
going to ask you.
Hospitality is part of dermatology.
So I got HIV
Even
also.
leprosy is part of dermatology. Even venereology is a part
Ah,
of
these are
dermatology.
all part of
I think the
dermatology.
consensus is
Maybe
MD
some-
dermatology which includes
Is
all
such
these.
a-
Includes all the subspecialties.
Definition should be clear cut, it should be as simple, definition should be clear cut, whatever be the degree.
Because then,
It has to be within that framework.
and our old degree certificate say MD, dermatology and
And
venereology.
we should
So
also.
once all that is included,
We should also
then I don't need to have a new
specify that
certificate.
some
My old
things got
certificate
developed.
is
Retrospectivity,
Yeah.
now today you become dermatologist, retrospectivity applies to the previous degree.
Yeah, it should encompass.
Different part of India.
Any new law comes, retrospectively applies to everybody.
India in the different states, they have MD, they write skin only. They write skin and venereology. They write skin, venereology and leprosy with the degree, MD degree. This should be uniform. There should be only one MD throughout
So all
India.
universities should
No,
grant.
that's why we said, that's what we said, unification of the degree. Degree should be one, it should not be like I am MD dermatology as well as some leprosy and some three other things, and you are only MD dermatology.
Yes, yes. It should be one.
Should we specify and then
Across the
skin
country.
and homeopathy and RND will not allow?
We have
Everybody has to be
passing
they're all confirmed.
Coming to that,
What degree certificate because it is given by the college.
Chitra, do you know MD dermatology from JJ is not recognized?
It is recognized.
Now it was
For many years.
We were not recognized. years ने
We were also-
3 बरस पहले
But
हुआ।
if you
Plus,
ask
sir,
the part of the
Mumbai
university क्या है?
More than
Not
10
Delhi
years.
है. जब
Bombay University can't be recognized, sir.
तो skin will make more sense than dermatology.
नहीं, I got it recognized about 3 years before.
No, everybody
हाँ,
got.
आपने 3 साल पहले किया, 10 साल से ज्यादा हो गया recognize हो गया।
मेरा भी 10 साल
नहीं,
पहले हुआ.
नहीं. But 10 साल पहले ही हुआ.
33 years my
Yes,
MD
sir, one more
dermatology was not
point
recognized.
which we have reached a consensus, basically,
But DA but was recognized. DA but was recognized, MD was not recognized for many years.
वो पहले से you have
तो मैंने उसी में तो दिया भी किया था ना कि मेरे
But basically everything, whatever we have discussed is being recorded and it will be put on the website, so.
I know.
So.
Sorry, we should not take names.
Yeah. And another thing, interdisciplinary, where the overlapping questions are there, basically interdisciplinary practice, there should be some qualification prescribed for that, so that wherever there are overlappings, so that person, if he practices, that comes under the purview of dermatology, he should be allowed to do that particular cosmetology treatment or something.
Guidelines for the overlapping part of the syllabus.
And I think we have.
Did we mention parlors and all that? Because we had decided that
No
parlors.
quackery, simple, no quackery at all. No cross-putty, no quackery. Law should be strictly in place.
I think in the summarizing we have not talked about.
Yeah, no cross-pathy and no quackery.
Whether it is the course
Law has to be strictly enforced.
And advertisement as per the NCA guidelines. Advertisement you have forgotten.
Especially if the regulation of these websites which the doctors mentioned,
Website should be allowed.
misusing and kind of threatening the doctors. Of course, regulation exists, but
It is not pertaining only
Threatening
dermatology.
is a different.
We should
It's a
have
a common point for everyone.
No, that's it.
I think that sums up the discussion basically. These recommendations will give it to Mr. Bajpai and he will rather make a report where everything together will be combined and become.
We'll be discussing it in the plenary session also again.
This will be discussed, whatever recommendation which we have come across, it will be put to other doctors as well and it will be discussed. I think we have, thanks a lot.